Hello, welcome to Blank Check. I'm producer Ben, and today is our second installment of Best of Moments from our days as a Star Wars prequels podcast. You might notice I sound a little under the weather, but don't worry, I'm fine. As always, I need to remind our listeners that while we are in fact a no bits podcast, no bits, pros bits, the running bit was that Griff and David were only aware of the first two Star Wars prequels, The Phantom Menace, and now this time around, The Attack of the Clones. Please enjoy the best of the Attack of the podcast.
Right, and we spent 10 episodes talking about George Lucas's film, The Phantom Menace.
Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. We thought it was a one and done.
We thought it was the only film in this series.
We knew he had grand ambitions for a saga. Yeah, we thought they didn't work, but old Georgie Porgy pulled a fast one on us.
Yeah, we dug it up.
That crazy son of a bitch did it.
Ep 2.
He pulled it off. Attack the Clones.
It makes sense because Episode 1 made about $1 billion.
That was the weird thing in our logic, was we knew that Episode 1 was, at the time of its release, the third highest grossing film of all time. And
we just could not think of that sequel.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we both had seen it. We totally forgot about it.
Right.
I don't know if that logically makes any sense. But here we are. Episode 2. We're cracking into it. And of course, we know that's the last one. You know, we thought it was a one and done. We thought it was a Jupiter ascending, if you will.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. Now we realize...
A Rocketeer.
Yeah. Now it's like an Amazing Spider-Man 2. They got 2 films into what was supposed to be a much larger saga. There were a lot of threads that aren't resolved.
Oh, boy.
But now we have the second film, and we get to look at where we thought it was going.
A lot of threads not resolved from this film. Oof.
So first and foremost, this is a sequel.
Yeah, it is. It's a honkin' sequel.
To one movie.
Okay, yes.
A sequel to the one film.
I think we've established
which is called The Phantom Menace.
Senator Amidala, the former Queen of Naboo, is returning to the Galactic Senate to vote on the critical issue of creating an army of the Republic in capital letters.
Now, that's a big deal because she hates the Senate.
To assist the overwhelmed Jedi.
I mean, I love this.
I like it. I don't know if love. We were talking before, and I was like, oh yeah, it's better. But like, there is a lot of talk of like Senate votes.
I don't know.
It's better than trade routes.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like Stockholm syndrome. If I'm just so happy to see another face for the first time in a while.
It's just new plot.
I got rock hard at that crawl.
Ooh.
I did.
Was it at Army of the Republic in capital letters?
Every part of it. I just like that we're getting so much information.
Yeah.
Okay. Turmoil. Great. We know that. Ooh. All these different planets have left.
Yeah.
So
Civil War.
Right. The power, there used to be this united universe, and now it's all split apart
and also,
in a drift.
It's moving on elements we know from The Phantom Menace.
Yes.
The Senate was all fucked up in The Phantom Menace.
Right.
Valorum was a weak chancellor.
Yeah.
The cracks were showing, and now they have, they've come to form.
One of my many problems with The Phantom Menace is that it was really taking baby steps towards something.
Sure.
It felt like he had a longer story he wanted to tell, and he was moving very slowly towards it.
Very slowly.
And
not much happens.
No, at all. This crawl is immediately sort of like...
It's a good point.
Getting the action I wish had happened within Phantom Menace out of the way.
Phantom Menace is one planet is having one dispute with the Trade Federation. Attack of the Clones is the entire galaxy is about to be is on the brink of war.
Right.
The Galactic Senate, apparently, I guess it seems like the Republic doesn't have an army.
Yeah.
Which was never addressed in the pilot, but it makes sense. There's no army. It's
the Separatists have the battle droids.
The Jedis keep the peace, but apart from that, maybe people have their own armies. I don't know. But yeah, so this is a Republic army.
And if there's more, sort of discord throughout the universe, the Jedis aren't going to be able to, there's only so much they can do.
Yeah.
They can maintain the peace when there's not that much to maintain.
Yeah.
When things are pretty civil.
Right.
But I like this too. I mean, we said, those Jedi, the Jedi Council, they're so smug. They're so calm. They're so judgmental. I like this immediately taking them out of their comfort zone.
Right.
They're stretched too thin. You know?
I do.
Like, already it sounds like they're addressing a lot of our complaints about the first movie.
Yeah, because in the first movie, the Jedi just walk in and they're like, we're handling this.
Right.
Don't worry about it. This will be easy.
Right.
Negotiations were short.
No staid, discourse about,
No tea services.
Right. Right. This is like...
Oh, there's no TC-14, though. Is that...
All
right.
I know.
Yeah, it's okay.
I know.
Well, I mean, we actually didn't talk about it, but TC-14 almost certainly dies at the end of Phantom Menace when her donor ship is blown up.
David, I really don't want to talk about it.
I'm amazed we never talked about that.
Yeah, for a very, very good reason.
I never thought about it. Yeah, she's dead, probably.
Yeah. The same reason I know my grandma isn't dead, because I never had to see her dead body.
All right.
They can tell me whatever they want, but I didn't look inside the box, so I know she's still alive and just isn't calling me and hasn't for the last 15 years.
Is that worse? That she doesn't like you anymore?
I don't know. She's 98 years old. She can do whatever she wants.
Now, this film came out 3 years after The Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
So, whereas, Portman is kind of being aged up.
Yes.
I think she's actually about her actual age now. Maybe she's playing a little older than she actually is.
Was she playing younger in the first movie?
I think she was. Because I think in the first movie she's supposed to be like 14, and the actress is probably more like 16, 17.
But Natalie Portman's a tiny woman and she looks like a
little
girl.
It works.
She doesn't feel as old in this movie as I think her character's supposed to be. And
I know what you mean.
Here's a point I want to get to right off the bat.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just because it's fucking in the news, it's topical, it's been on my mind. I've been really obsessively following this story.
What story?
Especially in this scene where she talks to Palpatine, but also throughout the entire film. Is there not like a weird Rachel Dolezal thing going on with Padme
what are you
in this
talking
movie?
about? What do you mean?
Her first...
I don't want to talk about Rachel Dolezal.
This scene with Palpatine, she's got this weird permed hair. And she's very much dressed like an African dignitary.
It's just on your mind. I need to rewatch it. I remember what you're talking about. She has like a weird hairstyle.
I also feel like she's weirdly bronzed in this movie.
I think that they just were completely out of ideas with the makeup and the hair.
They ran through all their good ideas.
They were like, Jesus, a whole other movie of costumes and shit. And now she's a senator, so it can't be quite as ostentatious.
Her style is terrible in this movie.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's bad. The only time she looks good is at the end when she's in just the white jumpsuit. Like she looks her best. No, you're out of your mind.
Inspired by African.
It's not in. Well, maybe I'd have to rewatch it. If you mean generally inspired by African
hair
clothing.
Also looks
I don't know. I don't want to talk about Rachel Dolezal.
And here's another theory I had. Okay, I feel like I'm gonna still talk about this for a second. I feel like the skin coloration of the actors is a little weird in this movie.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like the skin tones are unnatural in this film.
What?
Part of this has to do with, and we're going to do an entire episode to this, this was the first major studio film shot on video as opposed to film.
On digital video. Right.
Yeah.
Not on VHS, which would have been great.
Which would have been amazing.
But
it was shot on...
Shot and delivered, right? Like delivered and as a hard drive to a movie.
Yeah. On what was at the time the highest available resolution for video, and now is a very low resolution.
Right.
And the film does not look incredibly good for that reason.
It doesn't look great. At times it looks okay, but it doesn't look great.
I would argue
the Blu-ray transfer is okay.
Digital shots look great. And anytime there's a human element, it looks a little...
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think lighting a digital video was a new thing to them.
So you're saying like the makeup's just off.
Applying makeup.
Right.
I think the makeup is off, and I think the other element is Episode 1 shot in UK.
Yeah, well, this one's shot in the UK too.
I believe this one was shot in Australia.
I'm sure, but really? I'm going to look that up.
You can correct me on this. I am almost certain this film was shot in Australia.
The entire movie?
I believe this entire film was shot in green screens in Australia.
You're right. Oh
Thank
my God.
you.
At Fox Studios in Sydney.
Yep.
Pick up shots at Ealing in Britain, but mostly... No. You're right. Yeah. And then some Tunisia, obviously, that's Tatooine, and some Plaza de España in Seville. I assume that's some of the Naboo stuff.
Yes.
But yeah.
So, my point is, Natalie Portman is a very, very fair-skinned lady. She, much like me...
Oh, you're saying she
has transparent Jew flesh.
I guess so, but you're saying she was just spending some time at the beach.
In the sun.
It's a hot country.
There is one scene in the motion picture draft day. It's my first scene in the movie. Where I, the weekend before, had gone to a theme park.
Right. You know, you're right. You do look kind of tanned in draft day.
Yep.
Especially, well, I'm thinking of that scene.
It's my first scene.
Yeah, I know.
In the film. I had gone to a theme park the day before with my buddy Tim Simons, who has...
Of Veep fame.
Been in talks to be on this podcast.
He needs to be on it.
We need to get him on.
Tim.
Tim, please.
Does he listen?
I don't know, but he wanted to be on it.
I really want him to listen to it. I want Tim Simons to hear my voice. Tim, you were great in Veep this season.
If you're listening to this, please tweet it Tim and tell him to.
Timothy C. Simons. Is it C?
Yeah, Timothy C. Simons. Please tweet him and tell him to be on this podcast.
Yep.
God,
that'd be great.
It'd be great. He's great. He's one of the greats.
He is one of the greats. I love him.
There's a great theme park in Ohio. It's like the best theme park in America.
What's it called?
Cedar Rapids.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that place.
Cedar Falls.
Yeah, Cedar Rapids is a movie.
Yeah. They have a ride based on the movie.
Oh, it sounds great.
No, it's called Cedar Falls.
So you spend some time
in
in a hot tub, in a swimming pool, in a hotel swimming pool with a topless Anne Heche.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
the ride. Yeah.
We're way off track. We went on all these roller coasters for a day, got really sunburnt. The next day, we were filming my first scene in the movie.
Yeah.
You shoot things out of order.
Right.
And they were like, you don't look the same. This whole movie takes place on one day, on the titular draft day.
Right.
We've shot the scenes that take place 30 minutes after this. And your skin is an entirely different color. Because I don't tan, I burn.
You just burn.
So they had to try to put pale makeup over my sunburn. And I look, as my sister put it, in my first scene in the movie, look, and I quote my sister, very Hispanic.
You're a little Puerto Rican boy.
I look like a little Puerto Rican boy. I look like Elian Gonzalez, and then it goes away. But for the first scene, I look very doll-like and weird. Mm-hmm. And I think the combination of shooting on video, and that wasn't a tested thing, and you light things differently on video.
We spent a lot of time on this. I get it. Their skin's a little tanned.
And I think combined with the hair and the outfits,
let us never speak of this again.
Padme looks like Rachel Dolezal. If you have an opinion, tweet at us. Hashtag Padme Dolezal.
Hashtag Ask Rachel. That's the hashtag.
Ask Rachel?
That's the funny hashtag on Twitter where you want to.
Oh, really?
Make fun of her. Yep.
We don't know. We're using our own hashtag. It's hashtag Padme Dolezal and tweet yes or no. Hashtag Padme Dolezal.
You're a monster.
Jar Jar is so happy to see his old friends.
Mr. Jar Jar.
If it's possible, Jar Jar even comes off more stupid in this film than the last one. He has less to do but his dialogue now that he's in an official position.
We should address the fact that it's pretty obvious George Lucas realized that people didn't like Jar Jar because he is in 3 scenes.
And there's a moment...
It's so contrasted with The Phantom Menace where Jar Jar is in scenes he shouldn't be in, and in this scene Jar Jar is in
he just has his section of the plot. He's only there when he needs
a tiny section of the plot.
There was a moment when he walks past the camera and gives this smirk.
He does.
That's fuck you. It's like Jar Jar saying fuck you to the audience. I'm still here.
So yeah, he's there, and you're right. He does seem more annoying. It's because he people take him seriously.
And has not aged a bit in 10 years.
Well, we don't know how the Gungans age.
I'm not saying physically, I'm saying mentally.
Okay, that's true.
We all get wiser with age.
True. How is he a senator?
Right? He's a senator. He seems dumber than he did before.
It's true.
And it's I don't believe in a cultural homogenization. But I do think if you're a senator,
be a professional.
Learn how to fucking
be a professional.
Proper syntax, Jar Jar,
Whatever. We've talked so much about the Gungans, and
okay, so he's excited to see them, and Padme walks in, and doesn't really react. Is nice to see you, thank you for coming.
Yeah, she doesn't even seem to acknowledge them as her friends
because she's too busy being worried that someone's gonna catch her for being white.
You want to buy some death sticks?
Now we're seeing the dregs.
A little bit.
I like the slums of Coruscant.
Yeah, we get more of that.
Yeah,
we'll get more of that.
It's sort of I feel like it's a little like Tokyo inspired.
Sure.
A lot of bright colors and lights.
Hong Kong.
Dark.
Density.
Very mechanical.
Tall towers.
Yeah.
Anyway, she is given this tube, like you say.
Goes, whatever he says there, he goes, fucking, you know what to do with this.
Yeah, exactly.
Goes, I know what to do with this.
And she pilots a little drone over to her, Amidala's bedroom.
Yeah, she loads this little tube into the drone.
And it drops 2 poisonous worms.
Yeah, it's these gross slugs.
And we find out, right, did you say this already, that Anakin had to turn off the camera because Padme didn't like him watching her?
Oh, right, that was the thing.
So R2's in there.
R2's
back, by the way.
R2's back.
R2's back. The hyperdrive repairing droid we all know and love. He's back.
Yeah,
as her senator droid. I don't know what his job is.
I'm surprised of all the characters to bring back, he's a
Not
weird one.
That interesting a character in the first movie, but here he is.
He's better in this one, actually.
He has 18 times more things to do in this one. It is crazy how much R2 does.
He's maybe the third lead of this film.
Anyway.
So they put R2 in as a room guard. Do you remember as a kid you'd have those room guards?
Yeah, no,
those electronic
exactly.
room guards
right.
where it was all it could sense is if something walked by, it would make a noise.
He's not that good.
No.
So
that's
he's
all he
in
can
there.
do. If something already is walking by him.
Padme's already picking up a creepy fuckboy vibe from Anakin.
Don't
why are you
fucking watch me?
Yeah, right. Because she wants to masturbate in peace.
That's the thing. His job is watch after me, but she's don't watch me like that.
Yeah, right.
He's
Take
what do you mean?
Easy, buddy.
I'm doing what you told me to.
Excuse me, princess.
I can tell how you're fucking watching me. You're watching me in a gross sexual way. Don't do it.
Anyway, the worms come in. They almost get her. It's a nice little scene.
R2 alarm goes off.
No, I think the Jedis just sense it. Remember?
R2's scanning.
He's scanning, but the Jedi's just are Obi-Wan and Anakin talking about the shit that Obi-Wan just took.
They flip
and then
in,
they're
they
I
cut
sense
up
it
the
too,
droids.
and then they run in there and Anakin chops the little worms in half. I actually like that. It's very cool because he does it very cleanly, but it's like right by her neck, you know?
So then they look and they're like, where are these things coming from? They see the drone outside the window. Obi-Wan goes like, I'm on it.
Jumps through the window and grabs it. It's pretty cool.
It's pretty badass.
It is pretty cool.
And so now Obi-Wan is like flying through the dregs
space
of Coruscant.
traffic. Yeah.
Like the lower level.
I guess so. We're not on the floor yet. We're in the, you know, he's in the air because it's flying around.
Okay, if we go like Coruscant, since it's all one city, uptown, downtown, midtown wouldn't be relative.
Yeah, it's like sky
it's
high.
height.
You know, I get you.
So uptown would be like the Jedi Council, the Senate, these tall buildings that are very clean and sort of silvery. We're going down, and it's like, you know, murky colors with neon lights.
Yeah, it's kind of Blade
like
Runner-y with all the neon lights and stuff like that.
We're in Midtown, so we're like right above the downtown buildings, I would say.
Except Blade Runner obviously is like a masterpiece of design, and this is like completely half-assed and doesn't look that good.
Yeah, but I like that we're getting a different kind of energy.
I do too, because Anakin hotwires, I think, like a little car.
Oh, a speeder.
Yeah, right?
Does
he just steal it? I wasn't clear if that's like theirs or if he just nicks it.
No, he nicks it.
Yeah.
It's a speeder.
Yeah.
And Anakin knows the speeders because
we
took
talked
the
about
test and it's different than a spaceship.
Yeah, ship, speeder.
Yeah.
We've talked about it.
Oh, I know.
So he steals the speeder and they're in pursuit.
Yeah.
And I would say this is a successful part of the film. It could be a lot better, but it works pretty well. Like, there's some banter.
There's a good action sequence right at the
Anakin.
top. We're invested in who the characters are.
It's new. It looks different from, you're saying, we're seeing Coruscant. It's happening in the surface, so there's cars flying everywhere. It's like a totally different environment.
And there are a lot of character beats within it. I mean, like, Obi-Wan is holding onto this drone flying through. Eventually, he ends up in the speeder with Anakin, and it becomes a running bit of, like, how dangerous a driver Anakin is.
He's crazy, and he does all kinds of wacky stunts, and he's always losing his lightsaber.
I wouldn't say it's funny, but I would say it is attempting to be funny in a way I appreciate.
I agree.
It's like a shitty Rush Hour ripoff where it's like, man, what have I told you about? Like,
I don't love the delivery of I hate when he does that, when Anakin jumps out of the car to land on her space car. Zam Wessel, that's her name, right? Yeah. But, I appreciate it. Like, that's the thing to aim for.
I like the direction they're going into. Here's the big point, though. They've just left Padme by herself.
That is true.
Their one job was
there any
watch after
protector there?
Padme. No. Oh, R2-D2, who fucking failed before.
Jar Jar?
Jar Jar's out. He's not in her bedroom.
It's true. Why? Right now, she's defenseless. Why doesn't another assassin, the silver guy, why doesn't he just show up and just fucking shoot her dead right there and then?
Why doesn't, like, Obi-Wan jump on the drone and Anakin go, like, well, I'll stay here?
Well, Anakin's
obviously.
impulsive, though. I mean, that's part of it, right? He does a lot of impulsive things. He flies through some power couplings, and Obi-Wan complains about that. He loses his lightsaber.
They get electrocuted.
And then they land at a bar, which is a good scene.
It's, once again, a very different environment than we've seen in Phantom Menace.
Ben doesn't like it. They landed
Ben
a bar.
hates this movie. Ben hates this podcast.
They landed a bar.
No, I don't hate this podcast.
But you do hate this movie.
I can now grab Ben.
It's the worst.
Ben, okay, of the 3 movies we've discussed on this podcast, all 3 of which you hate, how would you rank The Judge, Phantom Menace, and Attack of the Clones?
Oh, that's so tough. Well, we're just getting into it, so I'll say Attack is like I can bear.
It's fresh.
Yeah, it's fresh.
It's still got some intrigue.
I haven't had to listen to like 9 more episodes yet. And then I'll go Judge next. And
you
then,
hate Phantom Menace more than The Judge?
Yeah, I do.
I definitely hate The Judge the most.
Me too.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't watch the whole movie.
I think
that's why.
I think I like Phantom the best of these 3 movies.
I like Attack right now.
All right, well, let's see. Anyway, I just want to get to, I like that scene where they go to the bar and Mouse from The Matrix says, do you want some death sticks?
One
and
of my
Obi-Wan's
2
like,
favorite characters in the film.
Oh, is that fucking guy?
Evan Sleaze-Bagano is his name.
That's his name?
So his name is Evan. I'm sorry, it's Evano. So it's not a human name. They added an O at the end, so it sounds different.
Oh, sure.
Evano.
Because he's got like hair or ears or something or antenna.
Sleaze-Bagano. Fun sidebar. A couple months ago, I was talking to my agents who are responsible for trying to make sure my career exists.
Sure.
Do they listen to the podcast?
No, this is the very point I'm building up to right now.
Go ahead.
And I was like saying like, I want to do a podcast. I'm like trying to figure out what to make a podcast about. And they were like, well, the thing you're best at is like talking about movies. But I feel like it's dangerous for you to do a podcast about movies because you'll end up publicly going on the record speaking about a lot of things you don't like when you might then have to get jobs from those people.
Sure. That's a good point.
I'm probably ruining my career.
Whatever. Trevorrow's not even making Jurassic Park 5.
Yeah, it's great. I don't care about speaking shit about Colin Trevorrow, the man who directed the biggest opening weekend of all time.
No, it's the second biggest.
No, it in the final numbers, it now is a bigger opening
weekend.
It beat
Avengers?
Yeah, it's the #1 highest grossing.
That's a bummer because I like that the Avengers was on top.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
a nice movie. Yeah.
Jurassic World's a piece of shit, and I hope Colin Trevorrow doesn't hire me. I just said that.
Should I?
No, keep that in.
Okay.
I'm gonna.
Who could you have
this.
played in Jurassic World? I guess the Jake Johnson part. But Jake Johnson actually did a great job.
He's the one good character in that film. We can't talk about Jurassic World anymore. I don't want to dignify it
Fair
with the
enough.
attention. It's like the Rachel Dolezal of movies. All it wants is our attention for acting
So
out.
stop giving it attention. And her.
Okay, we're not going to talk about them, but she's a great lady.
We're kind of wrapping up on this opening sequence, which I think is what we're discussing.
Evan Slea's back now. We're talking about subtext. So I was saying the subtext in Jurassic World is kind of...
In Jurassic World?
I'm saying the subtext, yeah, in Jurassic World is kind of anti-feminist, right?
Oh, sure.
If
right.
only subtly.
Right. Intended or no, there it is.
And I think George is doing an interestingly similar thing here in this scene. Okay? So we're watching the movie, we're going, well, it's a movie made by a man, but it's not autobiographical, and he's not on screen. I don't know how he feels about everything. For example, I don't know how George Lucas feels about cigarettes as a concept.
Sure, I guess so. They never come up.
Okay, then a character walks up.
You want to buy some dead sticks?
He's got a gross voice.
Yep.
He talks like Watto.
A little bit.
But his voice is clearly modulated.
Yeah,
in
there's
post.
something.
He looks unhealthy.
Yeah.
I'll say he's got like rings around his eyes.
Right, and he's in a sleazy bar.
He's in a sleazy bar.
Yeah.
They don't say this on screen, but his name is Evan Sleaze Bagano.
Right.
And he says, "Hey, do you want to buy some death sticks?"
And Obi-Wan literally brainwashes him, like,
says like,
you
those are not good for you.
You don't want to sell me death sticks. And he's like, I don't want to sell you death sticks. He's like, you want to go and make something of your life.
He says those will harm you. Like he says like those are not good for you, and he goes, "They're not good for me." Like he says something that's like you shouldn't smoke those. Such a bad for you. So call me crazy. I think George Lucas doesn't like cigarettes.
Okay. I don't like cigarettes either. I'm with you, George.
No, but I'm saying I think maybe death sticks are meant to represent cigarettes.
Yeah, okay. Where are you going with this?
And maybe I'm saying that there's an interesting subtextual thing
It's
going
not
on here. It's very
subtextual.
subtle. It's very subtle.
What are you talking
But here's this character. His name's Evan Sleaze
All right, I've
Bagano.
had
So we're
enough of
supposed to
this.
think that he's a sleazebag. He offers death sticks. They look like cigarettes.
I think the death sticks are supposed to be like drugs. But sure, I'm with you.
He's a sleazebag. Wikipedia character spotlight. I got his first name wrong. His name is Elan Sleazebagano.
Great.
Elan
Great.
Sleazebagano. He's a male Balasar death stick dealer on the planet Coruscant during the secessionist moment.
What's the actor's name? He was Mouse in The Matrix.
Matt Doran.
Yeah. He never had a career, but he did have that one.
So good in these two movies.
Sure.
My favorite character in each film, maybe.
I like him in The Matrix. He's not my
Elan
favorite
Sleazebagano was on Coruscant, the capital of the Galactic Republic, during the secessionist movement, shortly before the battle. This doesn't tell you anything.
All right, who cares? Like I said, Wikipedia is not good for Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, this one's really...
What is your point? You had a point you were building to, I feel like. Maybe?
Did I think George Lucas is anti-cigarette?
No, not that point. That the first 20 minutes of the noir movie...
Well, I'm saying... No, my point is, that's why, once again, we're making our first episode the beginning of the film.
Right.
Because we want to look at what the film sets up and whether or not the film plays off of that, builds off of that, and plays out what is established in the first chunk.
Sure.
My point I'm building up to is I'm setting the stage for a fucking great 10-episode run of Attack of the Podcast.
What will happen next?
What's going to happen next? We've seen the whole thing, we know, but what's
Will
going to happen
Obi-Wan
next?
go to a diner? Oh, God. Time can only tell. Will Anakin ride a headless blob rhino? I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah,
Maybe?
me.
Because as we've acknowledged, like, ever since we remembered that this movie existed, like, our memories have unclouded a little bit, and we've remembered that we actually saw it in theaters a bunch, and, like, we're fully aware of its existence.
Yeah, it's all coming back to us now.
Yeah. Attack of the Clones made $302 million at the box office.
Oh, I'm saying for Phantom Menace.
I know, Phantom Menace made
okay.
$431 million. You were correct.
Okay, so I was...
Bam.
Right on there. And the Attack of the Clones was how much? 200? 300?
$300 million. 302.
Okay, so
pretty
300
good.
right in the nugget, but we're talking...
But it made 650 worldwide.
This is before the international market. I love that we're starting out with such boring nitty-gritty.
And Phantom Menace made $1 billion worldwide.
But that's also including the 3D re-release.
Fine.
But there's a steep drop-off between the two.
Yeah.
A little bit of just, I think, maybe excitement being let out of the balloon.
Yeah. And title being Attack of the Clones.
And it wasn't a good promotional campaign.
No, it's not. It was not you were just not as... There's nothing, there was nothing to grab onto, like what he can't fall in love. Oh, let me buy my ticket now.
And also, that first movie was not good, and people didn't want to see the second movie.
Ben reminds us.
Controversial opinion from producer Ben, a.k.a. the Ben Deucer, a.k.a. Purduer Ben, a.k.a. the Haas, a.k.a. Hello Fennel, a.k.a. the Poet Laureate, who scooped David.
Oh.
I don't know if you know this.
I didn't.
Today, when we are recording this episode, which you will not hear for at least 5 days because we record them about a week in advance,
right,
is Ben's birthday.
Wait, today's Ben's birthday?
Today is Ben's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Ben.
Thanks, guys.
Aw, how old are you?
I'm 30.
Woo!
Nailing it.
Yeah. Yep. 30 years old.
So you are, what's today's? Okay. Wait, I'm trying to figure out what your zodiac is.
I'm a Cancer.
You're a Cancer.
Yep.
Classic.
I'm pretty emotional today, too, so I'm living up to it.
Great. How do you feel about spending your birthday talking about Attack of the Clones?
It's good. It's a good distraction.
Yeah, that's right. That's what all this is for all of us.
No, I was looking forward to today. Yeah,
that's good.
I'm excited to get to relive Attack of the Clones once again,
for the second time out of 10.
Okay, so this is going to be a clones-based episode. We're going to dig into the clones, but housekeeping. Right. It's Ben's birthday. Check. Everyone send him a fucking happy birthday message.
Woo.
A week from now when you hear this podcast. Send him
Hashtag
a belated
happy birthday, Fennel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Please bake him a fennel cake.
Not a funnel cake, though. Not a funnel cake.
No. It can be a fennel cake in the shape of a funnel,
That's
but
fine.
It has to be.
But it must be made of funnel.
Yes.
Now, just so I'm clear, mystical fighting order, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jedis.
Yeah.
They put this one guy on the case.
One guy.
Yep.
Okay. He goes to a forensics expert, let's say,
Sure.
his buddy at a 50s diner.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, and now he's going to the archives.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. So
Armed
this
with the knowledge that this is from the planet Camino.
Great.
Yeah.
All right.
Right,
I just wanted to make sure
That's
that
the thread so far.
I mean, when you put it like that, Ben, it sounds great.
Yeah, it sounds though like a ridiculous detective movie.
It does.
Yeah,
it
it's so
does.
cool.
Yeah. But it's the basics of it.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of intricacy to it. It's like they get the assassin dies, the dart. Where does this point to? Camino. All right.
That's the
they're
thing.
moving pretty quickly.
Up until this point, you're like, maybe he's going to have to keep on searching, and we're going to see every time we cut back to Obi-Wan, he's in a different place, talking to a different person,
Right.
meeting all different,
Nope.
No. But I like the direction it's going into up until this point. Goes to the library.
Jocasta Nu.
Jocasta Nu. Good old Jocasta Nu wearing
Librarian.
a kimono. She is the Jedi librarian.
And she's got like chopsticks in her hair.
She's got chopsticks in her hair.
She's a real fuddy-duddy.
Fun fact about Jocasta Nu.
Nope.
I got one for you.
any of those.
I got one for you.
Go ahead.
Little merchandise spotlight. Jocasta Nu was made into an action figure only a couple years ago after rampant fan demand. She was, no joke, the most demanded unmade Attack of the Clones character.
Why?
I don't know, but fans are going berserk. They were just kept on sending emails going, make us Jocasta Nu. And they were like, it was 13 years ago. Get over it.
She's also like so annoying.
Yeah.
Like she to me represents everything that sucks about the Jedi, which is like Obi-Wan is like, Camino is missing from our Jedi archives. Like this planet should be here and it's not here. And she, rather than like say like, wow, that's weird, she's like, if it's not in the archives, it doesn't exist.
She's throwing a lot of shade.
Like she can't accept that the integrity of her system could have been breached. So instead, a whole planet must not exist.
But she also says it with like a kind of mean girl, like, well, if it's not in here, then it doesn't exist because I do my job correctly.
Yeah, Obi-Wan should be like, yo, there's been a breach. Like, you should be fired. Because he goes to Yoda, and Yoda runs the question by a bunch of 6-year-olds, and the 6-year-olds are like, someone deleted it.
Yeah.
Like, the 6-year-olds can figure it out.
Yeah, he's like, how... If there's a planet that's not in the library, how can it exist? And a 6-year-old's like, well, someone took it out of the library.
By the way, one of the most wrenchingly awkward, like, it takes forever. Yoda's being so sweet and sickly.
Yeah.
Master Yoda, someone from the Jedi Archive.
I love those kids. I love those little Jedi kids.
I think there's more tension between us this time. Like,
Yeah,
you're a little more on the side of
movie.
Attack of the Clones, whereas I'm like a little pissed off at it.
You're definitely a little pissed at it.
I was so pumped for it, and then it was a really annoying disappointment.
I'm charmed by so much of it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I get that.
Yeah. So they tell him it's not in there, right? And
yeah, they tell him it's not in there. Yes.
Yeah. How does he find it then? I already forget how he then finds it.
I guess he just goes there.
Yeah, there's like no real explanation. Everyone's
well, I mean, because it's like he knows where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So...
Oh, right. The question wasn't he was trying to find the location. He was trying to find information so he didn't have to take a whole fucking trip to get there. He was trying to see, like, hey, is there a number I can call? Is there, like, an email address? And they were like, nope, you just gotta go.
An email address.
Dexter's told you it's in the Outer Rim. Just keep on driving.
He says it's here. It's next to the what's it called? The maze.
Next to the old prospector mine.
Yeah, the Rishi maze, which is which is a galaxy within a galaxy. I have no idea what it is.
It's a couple parsecs away from there. He says that. Yeah.
And so Obi-Wan is like, yoink. There's nothing here. I guess someone hacked our archives. No one deals with that information, by the way. Should be a monumental, because the way she's acting is like that would be impossible. Wow. Maybe there's a mole in the Jedi organization, guys.
An entire planet not there, not possible. The planet doesn't exist.
Yoda shares this information with some 6-year-olds and no one else.
It doesn't speak. Yoda has like this real fear of shit leaking this whole movie. So he's like, I'm only talking about this with whoever's in this room right now.
But with them, I'll talk about it.
I'll talk about it openly, but then never tell anyone else, you fucking 6-year-olds. Now, a lot of the planets we've seen in this Phantom Menace universe are themed. Oh, we got a desert planet. Coruscant's a planet where the entire planet is a city.
That is true.
Naboo is more foresty.
Yeah, Naboo is perhaps the most diverse-looking planet.
Yeah.
It's kind of earthy, kind of a nice Earth. Yeah.
But
you're right. The others are all just one thing. Desert. City.
This is the water planet.
This is water.
This whole planet
Oceans.
is pretty much water. They don't say it, but you see it, and it's really overcast.
Yeah.
It's like dark as night.
It's stormy.
Yeah. It's raining really hard. It's how you know it's a weather planet, because it's a planet where it never stops raining, apparently. And the whole thing's covered in water. And all the buildings are like Jetsons buildings.
Yes.
Like they're like on sticks elevated above the water.
And there's these, they're sort of like saucer-shaped.
Yeah.
Like they have that kind of 50s, 60s sort of world of the future designed to them.
Right. They look like the CN Tower in Toronto.
Yeah, and this seems to be a planet, it's just like oceans, giant whales, and then these very elegant little buildings.
Yeah. So he jumps inside, and they're
just to say, it's on that noir thread of like, you know how it's always like raining in noir movies,
oh, yeah.
right? So... Right, he goes to a planet where it's always raining, except then he goes inside like an iPod, basically.
Well, this is where
the whole set looks like an iPod.
The mystery thing falls apart at this very moment.
It's the worst!
Because it feels like, it's rain, he's going to interview this person, they're going to lead him to another person.
This is where it falls apart.
The whole movie, I would argue, falls apart at this moment.
He does no work after this point.
Everything I'm charmed by in this movie happens before this very point. And from then on out, I'm frustrated with this film.
Yeah.
There's still a lot I like. Overall, I'm not crazy about it. But the movie falls apart.
He walks in to, I guess, just like the front entrance of the planet.
It's the visitor center. That's what I assumed.
Is this the whole planet? Like, oh yeah, welcome to the entry desk for Camino the Planet.
Where do you get these clones from? Who is the original? They go, the man we cloned him from, and he goes, wait, I'm sorry, back up. Who did you clone these people from? Who is the origin? You could pick anyone in the world.
Right.
So you go, who's the best fighter? Who's the greatest soldier of all time?
And also, like, do you have to just have one guy? You can't have like kind of a multitude? Is the idea that it has to be just one guy over and over again?
I don't think so. Wouldn't it be so much easier just be like, if you can modify the genetics that much, maybe it's like at this point it's on autopilot. Like it's the presets, and now it's just like, we're going to keep on churning out. We got the one DNA sample, we're going to keep on churning it out. Because who's this guy? And they go, oh, right, it's some bounty hunter. It's some crook, some low-level, like...
It's so crazy.
Sleazebag.
But Cypher DS insisted. Isn't that the idea? Isn't it said, like, Cypher DS was like, Jango Fett, that's your guy?
Right, why?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it says... Well, they say Cypher DS, brought him to... It said, this is the guy. And they say, in addition to being compensated very well. Like, they point out that he's being compensated very well.
Right.
He had only one other demand. He wants one clone for himself, but unaltered.
Yes.
No adjustments made that he can raise.
Yeah.
He wants to raise himself as a boy.
I kind of like that idea.
Yeah, if it was explored.
Right, which it is not.
Word explored, it would be cool.
But right, like the idea must be like, here's someone who obviously can't enter a romantic partnership.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to have a kid because there's too, but like, what if he just had himself? Yeah.
This is kind of maybe the Yaddle of the movie. I'm not saying that character is the Yaddle, but I'm saying this son whose name is Boba Fett.
Boba.
Booba.
He also has a little New Zealand accent.
Yep.
Who plays him? Go on.
He that's kind of like, it's presented, you're like, oh, that's maybe a movie I would watch, is a guy raising a clone of himself on this weird planet, because he lives there.
Yeah.
They go, can I meet this guy? And they go, oh yeah, sure, he's got a room here. So they're like walking past all these clones that look like him, and they bring him in, and it's just his back quarters. And this dude's now being paid so well, he's got a tiny room.
It's really small.
And he's still sort of just like, they go like, hey, where have you been? And he's like, around. It's like, wait, you're still a bounty hunter? Like, you've been paid so well.
Yeah, why are you still a bounty hunter?
Get out of the game. I mean, Midnight Run is all about a guy who doesn't want to be a bounty hunter anymore.
And we know, by the way, at this point, that this is the guy who killed Sam Wessel, right?
We find out very quickly.
I'm pretty sure we get it.
We see him. He's a human being.
Because we've heard his voice talking to Sam. I mean, it's,
the moment that connects the dots is, we see him. He's in just sort of like his classic fatigues. And Obi-Wan starts asking him questions. And he whispers something to his son, Boba Fett, in like some alien language.
Yeah.
And Boba Fett dutifully.
Boba Fett.
Is
Boba?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a new character. I'm not familiar with him. He dutifully runs down the hallway and hits a button, closing a closet. And we see that the thing on the other end of the closet door that has been closed is the armor.
Right.
The armor.
That's right. That's
the silver and blue
I forgot.
armor.
Right. So then we're like, okay. And then again in this noir fashion, but without any of the actual grist, like Obi-Wan and Jango have this kind of like innuendo-filled conversation where it's like, you ever been to Coruscant?
And he's like, maybe.
A couple of times.
Recently? Fairly. How was it? Oh, he goes, what? There for some business. And he goes, was it successful? And he goes, fairly. Fairly successful.
And like, by the way, no, it wasn't.
No, it was horrible. It was a huge bust.
He blew it.
Yeah, you did a terrible job.
Anyway.
Maybe retire. I mean, not to harp on Midnight Run, which I think is just like a platonic ideal of a movie.
Great movie.
It's like a perfect
fantastic
film.
movie.
But the crux of that film is, oh man, being a bounty hunter sucks.
Yeah.
It's a terrible job. We all understand this is a terrible job. All De Niro wants to do is get that one big job.
Right.
That one big payout that allows him to start a restaurant. That's what he's always dreamed. He wants to be Dexter Jettster, to speak in terms that Attack of the Cloners will understand.
Right.
Our tack heads.
The
cloniacs. He is a Jango Fett who wishes he could become a Dexter Jettster. And the second he gets that payout, it's like, that's what he's going to do. He's going to get out of the game.
Right.
Jango Fett has hit pay dirt.
But he's not giving up the old life.
No. But why? And he's got a tiny shitty room. He
we
could
don't
get a
know
nicer
anything.
apartment.
We don't know anything about this character. It's never explored.
This guy kind of seems like a piece of shit, and I don't understand why they cloned him.
Yeah.
And he's like physically fit.
Right.
But also not the best human specimen in the world.
But I mean, that's how he's being presented to us, though. I think that's the idea. It's like, here's Jango Fett.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing. He'll work.
But even like they talk about how like Mace Windu is really powerful. In this movie, it's kind of set up. That's Mace Windu's place within the Jedi hierarchy, is that he's the most powerful Force-wise. They say that a couple times. Say like Yoda's the wisest, Mace Windu's the most powerful.
Right. He's like the best fighter.
Right.
Yeah.
So if the Jedis were actually the ones who asked for this army, they'd be like, oh, just get Mace Windu.
That'd be pretty cool.
Let's have a bunch of
an army of Samuel L. Jacksons.
Right, and they all have the Force. That sounds great.
But you're forgetting.
Oh, I'm not
forgetting.
forgetting.
This was done in secret.
That's why I said if.
Right.
If.
Right.
So they're like, Sifo Dyas, 10 years ago, Jedi Master. He has this tense conversation with Jango. He meets Boba, and he goes back to the Jedi Council, and they're like, we got no idea what the fuck he's talking about.
Right.
And they're like, is there any chance Sifo Dyas did this 10 years ago? And they're like, no. Because, he's talking them through, like, hologram. Like,
yeah. And
he's
it's
still
raining.
on the
He's
planet.
like,
Yeah, it's like a cold, shivery, and it's like, just go back indoors. Like, they got a ton of space there. Find a bathroom. I don't know. Do anything.
Right.
But he says, he's like, any chance? And they're like, no, the timeline you're presenting, I think Sifo Dyas died right before that.
Right.
Oh, and he says to Django, he's like, so what's the deal with Sifo Dyas? And Django's like, Sifo, who is?
Yeah, he's like, a guy called Tyrannus.
Yeah.
That's who set me up with this
and
gig.
he's on like the moons of Bugin or something. And he says some silly nonsense.
Fucking
garbage.
bullshit.
Right, he goes, a man named Tyrannus from the moons of Bugin. And he's like, what? So he goes to that and he's like, Tyrannus, Sifo Dyas, any of this that make any sense to you? And they're like, absolutely not.
And instead of digging further into the mystery, he fights Django Fett.
Right, he's like wanting to leave the planet, and then Django Fett comes out in his armor now and starts shooting at him. Guns blazing.
Kind of a cool scene, I guess.
Yeah, it's
we've never really seen
battle.
like Jedi versus non-Jedi, like who's not like just a stupid battle trooper.
Yeah, it is so bogged down by shitty CGI rain.
CGI is really terrible.
Like, it's clear that the only thing that's real is
it's a cool
the
idea.
floor that they're standing on.
Right, yeah.
And then the entire background of the planet CGI, the rain is CGI,
right. The
they're wet.
and,
it all, like, it doesn't have a lot of weight to it.
It doesn't.
But the actual fight itself, I guess, is well choreographed.
It's pretty good.
Django's cool. He's got a rocket
Django's pretty
pack.
cool. Yeah.
He's a cool guy.
And he's got these, like, kind of Wild West ray guns, you know, that he, like, kind of...
He's got two blaster side holsters,
yeah.
and he flips them off. They look real tight. Tight's my word of the day. But yeah, it stops being easy to follow. And when he comes to the Jedi Council with, like, the biggest questions yet, they're like, well, we don't know what to tell you. That sounds crazy. We definitely didn't.
Yeah, they're like, this is nuts. A clone army.
Huh.
And we paid for it? Wow.
Yeah. Well, none of us approved that, so.
Yeah. And then
they're like, Tyrannus, and they're like, yeah, don't know who he is.
And then, I mean...
Just come back home. You got to do your laundry.
And we'll get into this more later, but then this just sets up the end of the movie where it's kind of like they approve an army, and then it's like, well, it's right over here.
Yeah.
And no one apparently asked the question, like, excuse me, who are these people, and where did they come from, and what is this?
Yeah, and if you take off their helmet, they all have the exact same face.
And they all, like, ship off into these giant ships that are, I guess, already existing, and, like, it's like... I mean, I understand that Palpatine's supposed to be sort of like pulling one over on the galaxy, but like, was no one picking up like the receipts and being like, where did all of this shit come from?
Well, and this is the craziest thing to me, too. Yeah, I don't understand.
Where did these people come from?
Did Sifo Dyas pay up front? Quote unquote, Sifo Dyas.
He must have. The Kaminoans aren't like, when Obi-Wan is like, excuse me, you were 50% your deposit, but we're going to need the other 50%.
Who the fuck is Sifo Dyas? Who was this guy? I mean, that's the thing.
What a dumb name.
Like, the movie is presenting questions, and we're getting invested in trying to find out the answers, and then the movie kind of like...
answered.
Right, so it's like, was Sifo Dyas an alias that a bad guy was using? We know he was a real guy, but was someone pretending to be him? Or was Sifo Dyas... Okay, Sifo Dyas, let's read about this.
Male human Jedi Master, last decades of the Republic.
Okay. So he's old guard kind of guy.
Secretly, apparently he did it. This is Wikipedia, though. So
they're saying he did it. So was he kind of in cahoots with the Sith? Was he just like a real like military aficionado? Was like, you know what? I'm just gonna buy an army in case they ever.
Yeah, he was convinced to do it by Dooku. And it does seem like, and we'll get to Dooku later, obviously.
But it does feel like he was
manipulated.
A young Jedi getting swayed by the allure.
Yeah, of an older Jedi saying like, "Hey, things are bad. Like, we might need an army. The Jedi are getting weak."
And he's like, "You know what? You're right. I should do this." Presumably, Dooku gave him the money. I mean, it doesn't seem like Jedis are independently wealthy.
What's his name? This is all in the expanded universe, by the way. Again, this is never discussed in the films. Hago Damask, a.k.a. Darth Plagueis, who is Darth Sidious's like former master.
Oh, okay.
He provides the funds.
So,
but Sifo Dyas doesn't know that he's a Sith, I guess.
Right. Does he come from like a wealthy family?
Yeah, he's like a businessman.
Yeah. He invented a good app. Like, what did he... How did he get...
He's a businessman. He has a company called Damask Holdings.
I cannot tabulate how much.
Again, none of this is in the movie.
Yeah. But here's like... Look, I don't need them to give me all of this, but I also...
A little more.
Well... I need to get some impression of who Sifo Dyas was as a guy.
Maybe Dooku could later say, like, Sifo Dyas was just a pawn, like, I manipulated him, like, you know, into buying that army.
Or even, like, he was killed 10 years earlier.
Right.
Jedis don't seem to get killed that often.
I guess not.
They're pretty peaceful. I mean, we saw Qui-Gon die, but it's like, extreme circumstances. I would love it if they were like, yeah, Sifo Dyas got killed. Weird circumstances. Also, he was acting really weird the last couple months of his life. Like, not, even if it was that ham-fisted, if it was just kind of like setting up like, oh, that guy was, something weird was going on there.
Also, aren't they mind-reading Jedis? This is what I always circle back to. I get that Jedis might be harder to read another Jedi, right? Because they also have... Yeah,
so, like, that's the thing. When Obi-Wan's doing that, like, fucking like detective conversation, like playing coy with Jango, he also could just be asking him like, hey, some weather we got here, huh? And then just reading his mind.
That's a good point.
You know
I
what I'm
totally
saying?
forgot about that.
You could just go like, so you see any good plays recently?
Yeah,
and then just meanwhile be going
this
like,
guy
okay,
is Jango Fett.
This
is the assassin.
This is Jango Fett.
Why don't they read fucking Zam Wessel's mind where they're like, who sent you?
Yeah.
And she's like, I can't tell you. They're like, well, too late. We just
now you're dead. Now I
brain.
can't read your mind.
Yeah. Anyway.
Got too scared off by your lizard face. This movie's insane.
It's really insane.
This is an insane
This
movie.
is the most insane plot concept in the film. There are probably more insane things that happen, but the idea that there's just a planet that makes clones and like did it in secret and provide, that is the craziest thing. That is the biggest leap of logic the film makes, and I would say if like it's a mile wide, the leap you have to make, it makes it like 10 feet across and then just falls into the abyss.
That's being very generous.
Yes, exactly.
Ben, final thoughts. It's your birthday.
Oh, man. Well, kids, try to enjoy your 20s because it's all downhill from here.
Oh, I've been told 30 is better than ever.
Oh, okay.
How have the last 16 hours of your life been?
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Real
You seem
exciting.
good.
I'm fine. Yeah.
I know you're feeling like the existential dread, but you also like... It all feels like it's going all right.
No, yeah. Things are good. Things are
fucking-
good.
You're fucking producing Attack of the Podcast.
That's true.
That is true. David and Griffin.
You know what?
Griffin and David present. I keep putting my name first.
I always actually put your name first, too, when I
Aw.
describe it to people.
You're right. Yeah. I should be looking up. I mean, I'm producing this great Star Wars podcast. So
And you love Star Wars.
it's great.
So good.
2 of your favorite movies.
Yeah, I love them. Yep.
Yeah.
It's so good. But final thoughts. I just did not deliver. Did not deliver on this. If they're gonna go for the detective thing, come on, go for it.
They do not.
It's
go
an
far with
investigation where nothing's really answered.
it. Yes.
Yeah, they give us bigger questions, and then they just go like, well, I guess we can never find out.
Right.
That's it.
We should get to the topic of
Yeah,
the week.
okay.
Right.
So the topic is we're trying to figure out what the fuck this character
I
arc
guess so. I
is.
guess it's an Anakin episode, but specifically not the romance, but the character, the
Yes,
anger.
the anger.
angst.
The anger.
Teen
yeah.
angst.
Anakin's
with Anakin
anger.
Skywalker.
Also known as Trouble on Tatooine.
A lot of trouble on Tatooine.
What the fuck? Okay, so let's just put this in context for a little bit, okay? The first Star Wars movie, The Phantom Menace,
Phantom Menace.
we're introduced to young Anakin.
Yeah, he's a cherub.
He's a cherub,
He's got big chubby cheeks.
and he's got a rosy smile, and
And-
he loves saying yippee.
Yeah, and he always is looking on the bright side of life, which is helpful for him because he's, in a pretty dire life situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like you're a slave to a spare part salesman, build a robot,
Yeah.
Not much to do on Tatooine except for race pod racing. Do pod racing? Do some pod racing.
Pod racing. Win.
Hey,
Yeah.
Is it a deadly sport? Who cares? You'll be
cares?
fine.
Someone did do a great photo shoot, a slideshow of Adam Sandler on the red carpet at his premieres with the leading ladies in his movies.
And in the red carpets, isn't he always wearing basically a New York Jets jersey or whatever? He is the most dressed down
he's
guy
wearing
in the
a
universe.
Kmart t-shirt,
Yeah, right.
shorts, sneakers that are literally covered in shit.
Baggy cargo shorts as well. Yeah.
Right, and then the women who have played his wives or girlfriends in the last 8 movies.
Salma Hayek, who's played his
Jessica
romantic
Biel,
interest?
Kate
Jessica
Beckinsale,
Biel. Oh my god,
Katie Holmes.
it's crazy.
Um,
Adam Sandler.
yeah.
Who's
and,
the
and
love
they're
interest in Don't Mess with a Zohan?
Emmanuel Shikri.
There you go.
Yeah.
What's she, half his age?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Brooklyn Decker.
Right. Jennifer Aniston and Nicole Kidman and who's in
And
Just
Brooklyn
Go With
Decker
It?
was
And
the
Brooklyn
third
Decker.
one. Yeah.
Right. Let's do a Sandler episode sometime. What's
Yeah.
the best Sandler movie is Zohan?
You think period?
Yeah.
Over Billy Madison?
Yeah.
I would put those two neck and neck.
I think, but even forgetting the original, like Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, Wedding Singer, where he's like, establishing his brand.
Those three are really good.
I think Zohan is the most audacious film he's made for getting funny people.
Okay, guys, you overlooked Click.
Click is weird.
Ben loves Click.
You love Click?
Love it.
Do you like it when he gets all old because he fast forwarded through life?
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah,
it's great.
Twist.
You didn't know that Ben loves Click?
No.
You haven't been listening to Click and Click?
Click and Click.
They're on episode...
Ben's secret podcast.
He's on episode 30.
Yeah. There's just so much you could say about
Click.
Click.
The scene where Terry Crews lip syncs to a song and then Adam Sandler mutes him.
He mutes him.
Yep. Great.
Because he's got a remote control that controls life.
Yep. It's weird.
He misses the Dragon Tales years.
Anyway, let's get back onto... I don't even know how we got onto this. We're talking about...
What do you rewind? So he goes back in time.
No, I know. He does have a remote control. And he got the remote control at the Beyond section of Bed Bath & Beyond. Let's not forget that. I think, it's not just that he's angry. It's that his angst is represented in this way that is hard to engage with.
He's a little shit? Is that what you're saying?
He's a little shit. He's got this, crappy Bronx accent thing that he's doing.
Oh, fuck. Oh, God. I hate being a Jedi. I love Padme.
We're talking about a character who we know was a slave who was taken from his poor mother.
Yeah.
And then his mentor was killed. And he was thrust into this terrible, we should be on his side, is what I'm saying. And immediately we're like, oh God, Obi-Wan, will you give this kid a spanking or something? What's the matter with this guy? We do not like him.
But part of it is
it's a failure. It's the fundamental failure of the film. You don't sympathize with Anakin Skywalker.
Because he
sucks.
He's sullen the whole movie.
Yeah,
he
doesn't have You don't see what the appeal is.
Yeah, there's
to Padme or to anyone really.
Yeah. And when we say, this episode's devoted to the arc of Anakin Skywalker, it's really an arc in relation to the first movie. He doesn't change that much within this one film.
No, it's just that he's different compared to Phantom Menace.
Right, he's kind of unhappy with everything that happens.
Yeah. How old is he supposed to be, 18?
Now, this
17,
is the big
18?
question.
Yeah.
Watching the movie, when it first came out, I was younger than him.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah,
and I looked at
too.
him, and I was like, this is like a fucking adult.
This is what I have to look forward to.
And now I watch the movie, and he's like a little boy.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
In a way that makes me not relate to him, but empathize with him a little bit, where I'm like, well, everyone's awful when they're a teenager.
I guess I get that.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
It's not a likable character, and it's a poor choice for how to frame your protagonist.
Go ahead.
But I do watch it, and I'm just like, oh, it's just bad phase. It's like those three uncomfortable years in boyhood where you're like, this kid's really tough to watch.
But here's the thing. Why is he talking about it? No one talks about their problems like that when they're a 17-year-old filled with angst.
The hallmark of 17-year-olds filled with angst is that they're incapable of talking about it. They
cannot communicate their feelings.
They can't communicate anything.
And the first thing, he's basically saying to Obi-Wan, who's basically his surrogate father, and he's like, Jesus, Padme won't even look at me like a man. And it's like, he would never say that to him.
Never fucking
say that. Is all, buried deep down, those sorts of anxieties and neuroses.
Now, here's a question for you.
Ugh, this movie.
The fact that that's the opening conversation.
Yeah.
And that he keeps on bringing it up, right?
Yep.
Oh, man, Padme, I can't wait to see her again. And then after he sees her, oh, man, Padme didn't even look at me. Oh, well, Master, I do believe she looked at you. Yeah, but not the way I wanted her to look at me. Do you think that, for the last 10 years,
he's
Anakin
just been jerking it?
And won't stop talking about it to Obi-Wan.
Yeah, and Obi-Wan's like, Jesus Christ.
Jesus fucking Christ.
But, if
you spent 1 week with her.
This is what I don't get. And I think I asked this already.
She's 5 years older than
I think I asked this already. Why couldn't they just see her once in a while?
Yeah.
They both live on Coruscant.
Just visit.
Well, I know that the whole planet is a city, as Ben is gesturing.
Yeah.
The whole planet, let's remember,
Ben gave the classic, the whole planet's a city gesture.
City. Whole planet's a city.
You know the gesture. I'm sure you can all imagine.
So maybe traffic, it's like, oh, I'd love to see her, but... she lives on the Western Hemisphere. We're over here on the Eastern Hemisphere. Who knows?
Plan a weekend trip. I don't know.
And I know that Jedi training, you probably have to go off to the training planet or whatever to do your training. I don't know how the Jedis train there. All we know is Yoda teaches you when you're 5, and then by the time you're 18, you're a real pain in the ass with a lightsaber.
Oh, yeah.
And in Tatooine, he does meet Watto.
Oh boy, I'm so excited.
Should we talk about this now?
Yeah,
it's probably
okay.
the best time to talk about it.
Yeah. So I just want to point out this is the least sticky, least memorable movie in the world, and we already can't remember like how major plot moves happen.
So yeah, they go to Tatooine.
And
they land in Mos Espa, I guess.
Right, and it's like, oh, remember this?
And he goes to find Watto. And it's kind of a good idea in the movie, actually.
Yeah.
Return to the scene of the first film, which we remember, but like everything's a little different.
Yeah.
And Anakin is no longer like the helpless slave. Like he's
a powerful Jedi. He's a Padawan, but
whatever. He's got a fucking lightsaber.
Yeah.
And he goes to see Watto. Watto looks the same except for a hat.
He's got an unbelievable hat.
He's got it's kind of like a World War I metal helmet-y kind of thing, but it's very flat.
Yeah.
With a little indentation for his tiny little bulbous head.
I feel like maybe his vest has more pockets in it. I mean, he's pretty much rocking the same thing, but with this little sun hat, which is about time. You should. I mean, 2 points. One is that hat probably provides some necessary shade from the unrelenting
dual
sunlight of
the dual suns of Tatooine. The binary suns.
Second point: if you're going to wear any hat to protect you from the sun, why pick one made of metal? That thing's going to be scalding hot.
It's going to get real hot.
Scalding hot. He put it on once, and now he can't take it off because it's seared to his flesh.
Melted to his flesh.
It's like Dr. Doom's mask. He put it on to like cover up one little scar and then melted his entire face. And now
that
he's
is,
fine.
by the way, it is the weirdest thing about Dr. Doom's origin story that it's like, yeah, he just put that mask on a little too fast. It's
no, I love it.
He's a genius. No, I know. I get that it's about his impatience and his...
And also his vanity, his extreme vanity. He had one scar which he felt so self-conscious about. He went, make me a mask. And they were like, okay, your mask is done. He went, okay, give it to me. And he just put it on and his whole face
So
felt off.
in the new movie, is it like he goes with them? Is that the idea?
Which is off of Ultimate Fantastic Four.
Yeah, which I don't like.
But he doesn't have I mean, I think he becomes a sort of cyber techno.
Yeah, Dr. Doom's a tough character to do in the modern film world. Tough character to do.
I think I know I do. Do you know I spent most of my high school...
Yes.
Yeah.
I do know.
I wrote my college admissions essay on...
About the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And about like the way you would do it.
There's nothing I would want to do more in the world
than like a 60s Fantastic Four movie.
Let me say, the second thing I want to do most in the world is make a Fantastic Four movie the way I think it needs to be made. The number one thing I want to do in the world is fuck TC-14. So, they're on Tatooine. They see Watto, my favorite character.
Yeah. And they say, what happened to Shmi?
Well, you're jumping way ahead.
All right, fine.
Way ahead. No, I think this is...
Beat by beat, hit by hit.
No, but David, this is my favorite character. We've been building up to this point.
All right, Watto. What does he do? I don't remember.
Well, I think we got to acknowledge right off the bat. The fire in his eyes is gone.
It's true.
He looks real sad.
Yeah, it's true.
His beard's grown out.
He's sitting outside, like he's not even in his shop, right? He's sort of at a stall.
He's like a vendor. He's like selling.
It doesn't look good.
No, he looks
Mos
bad.
Espa looks a little rundown. It look like even though it's already looked pretty rundown.
Yeah.
It looks like it's on harder times maybe.
Yeah, and he just looks like he's like selling some pencils in a cup or something.
Yeah.
You know? He's got more stubble than even usual.
And he takes a second to recognize Anakin.
Oh, more than a second.
Yeah.
He's like, he's not even like selling it as hard as he used to.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? And they're like, hi, do you know
Shmi Skywalker?
And he's like, yeah, Shmi, I used to be a slave of mine. I don't know.
Now, I think he says that he sold her to the Lars family.
Yes, he sold her to the Lars family.
It's not like he freed her.
But he sold
It's just that she then, like, one of the Lars family fell for her and they freed her and they got married.
No, I think that happened later. I think the whole idea is that, like...
all Watto did was sell her.
Yeah.
And
I don't think he sold her because he knew she was in love.
No,
that's
what I'm saying.
Money.
He sold her, and then the Lars homestead,
right.
Owen, which one is it? No.
Clegg Lars.
Clegg Lars, right, fell. And Owen's their kid?
Yeah, and Beru's his girlfriend?
Oh, yeah, no. Owen's like his kid from a previous marriage. There's a lot of like complex family shit. Joel Edgerton plays
the great Joel Edgerton.
Owen, which is crazy.
Yeah. Wait, but I want to hit on this Watto point.
And another Australian actor. Yeah.
Watto does not even recognize Anakin.
No. I mean, he has grown and changed into a different person.
Right, completely different actor.
So, you know.
Okay, we have a guest this week. What?
Yeah, Rachel Dolezal.
Oh,
we previewed it last week.
We did. We talked about it a lot. Half right. Her name is Rachel.
That's true.
Rachel Lang.
Hi, Rachel.
Hello. I'm
good
Rachel.
Friend, our former trivia teammate.
Yep.
After weeks of putting it off, this is the romance episode. We're getting into the romance, which is perhaps the quote-unquote emotional core of the film.
I guess so. Is it?
Well, it's supposed to be.
It's this like huge thing that had not even be. There's no. Well, I guess there's a little bit laid out in the first movie, but the second movie,
Are you an angel?
Right. The second movie, it's like this. It's like this is the central conflict of the movie.
Right.
Anakin's inner war between like being a Jedi and being in love.
Yeah. Now, we have danced around the subject because we didn't want to blow the load. We knew we were going to talk about this at an episode length. This plot line's not very effective for either of us.
No.
And was not when we saw the film. You,
No.
Rachel.
We were gross teenage boys.
We were
let's
gross
remember.
teenage boys.
We were like, yeah.
I was 13 years old.
Yep.
When I saw this movie 4 times in theaters.
2002.
Yes. And I thought it was the most beautiful love story I had ever seen. Ever. And I think I still thought that until about the year 2007.
Was there a rewatch at that point, or did you just...
I had seen it a lot since then.
And me and Rachel, before the podcast, we're talking about John Williams' love theme and how much you cared about that.
I think that really contributed to my misconception of...
It's not a misconception. It's just your conception.
My incorrect opinion of how beautiful this love story is. There's a whole featurette on the special features about love. I don't know if you guys watched.
I'm pretty sure I watched it
recently.
at some point. Maybe not recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
I watched it at 8 a.m. this morning.
Yeah.
It was great.
So Across the Stars
Yes.
is the main track.
Yes.
But-
Across the Stars, parentheses, love theme.
Uh-huh. You had sort of intense fandom specifically for that track.
Yes. I went to see John Williams conduct the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra.
When you were about, how old were you?
I think probably 14. I
Sure.
think he came by the next year.
Right.
It was a year, your love for their love was still lingering.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm sure I watched the film before I went to see the music played live, just to
Right.
get a taste of like the recorded track, so I could compare it with the live orchestrations. And they did not disappoint. I cried. I absolutely sobbed and cried.
wept in
I
public.
wept. I'll add that I saw this. I mean, I was in a full audience, but no one in my family would come with me,
Yeah,
so
sure.
I was there alone.
Sure.
Wow. At age 14. Well, I guess,
Yes.
yeah, that's old
I
enough.
was very cultured. So.
It is, what was I going to say? I wanted to ask, so if this was the transcendent romance for you in 2002, like what was it topping? Like, did you feel that way about Titanic or like Ever After? I'm trying to think about like the big romantic movies of our youth.
Yeah,
for
was this
kids
the
and
first
teens.
one where you felt that strongly about a love in film, in cinema,
'Cause I
or
feel
was
like-
this replaced?
I would absolutely say that it was.
Okay.
This was the first one. You never felt this strongly?
I
Yeah, wow.
I loved Titanic.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's one of the, I think it's the second VHS I ever bought. The first is Miss Congeniality.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, I loved it, thought it was great, was barely allowed to watch it because there were boobies in it.
Uh-huh.
And there's one thing that my parents don't like, boobies.
Yeah.
So
Attack of the Clones could have done with some more movies.
I think
Okay,
so.
that's more
Yeah.
boobies.
It does have that midriff bearing
So
section for the
artfully
fat man.
cut off.
Mhm.
And I was
Yeah.
going to say, in the arena at Genosis, the pillars look a lot like vaginas.
Well,
Interesting.
even the
Yeah.
actually, I was noticing this too. The whole platform that they're on is covered in vaginal imagery.
Thank you. Okay, Ben was shaking his head. You have
Ben's
noticed
wrong.
this.
Yeah,
Right?
no, they're vaginas.
They're vaginas.
I asked my girlfriend. They are vaginas. We
There
are
you
big
go.
vagina experts. We know what they look like. Those are vaginas.
That's two women watching the movie together,
Mhm.
both of whom have vaginas, confirming that I am not a dirty-minded boy, that I am on the money, Ben. I say as I point at his face, Ben.
You haven't introduced Ben, by the way.
Ladies and gentlemen, producer Ben, a.k.a. Producer Ben, a.k.a. the Ben Deucer, a.k.a. the Poet Laureate, a.k.a. the Haas, a.k.a. Mr. Positive himself.
Hello, Fennel.
Hello, Fennel.
Hello, Fennel. Yeah, I guess I missed the vagina imagery.
You
I
should watch
also
it again.
did, but I wouldn't. I just need to remind myself of what it looks like. I can't remember what you guys are talking
What a
about.
vagina, looks
vagina?
like? You forgot what a vagina.
Yeah, what are those things again?
They look like it's like a part of a human body that looks like the pillars in the arena Genosis.
Yeah. Okay.
But made of flesh and not stone.
Yeah, it's not ringing any bells, but anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'll Wikipedia later.
You know, we'll Google it, you and I, David, later when we're done.
In this small booth that we're in right now.
With no windows. You and I. Close the door.
But there's some detailed points that we skimmed over here. So you went to the concert by yourself.
Yes, I did. And I remember that I, was crying, and then
a lot, like tears, like many tears, like my shirt got a little wet,
Yep, right.
And I was like, oh God, I don't remember what I was wearing, but I know that it was like something that a sad suburban girl who was pretty fat near Pittsburgh would wear because they thought it was a nice dress up outfit to wear to a concert. And then I made my dad, pretty cheap guy, and I begged and I begged and I begged to get the extra like $50 thing where you got to meet and greet John Williams.
Whoa.
And he did.
Wow.
He did it.
But he didn't come with you.
No.
He just
That
ponied
would
up
have
the
been
50
another
bucks.
like
right.
$70.
Yeah, right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So I went and I stood just like shaking in line as like mothers introduced their like trumpet playing sons to John Williams, and it was amazing. But I was like, oh my God, I don't play an instrument. I don't belong here. This is awful. And then I finally got next in line, and I got a big sweaty hug from John Williams.
Aw.
Conducting is hard work.
Yeah, post-conducting. So
Yeah,
he had worked up
post-conducting.
this. That's a real.
Yeah.
There's a
He
lot
was
of vigor.
drenched in sweat.
Yep.
And I don't remember what I said, but he signed my copy of the CD.
Of the Attack of the Clones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I had the one that had Yoda with the little lightning force ball that he's collected, and I still have that.
That's signed by
yes.
J.W.
Yes.
Okay, they make it through the crazy droid factory maze.
Right. Oh, there's all that, but that's not romance. We'll get to all that.
No. But here's
They make out during
scene.
the factory.
So then they're captured. They're captured by the bug people.
Of course.
And now the two of them are in this like chariot.
They're being prepared.
They're chained
for,
up.
Whatever the pit,
Yeah.
gladiator pit. But remember, there's this scene where they're talking to each other.
And she's like, Anakin, before
They think they're gonna die.
this happens, I just want you to know that I love you.
Yeah.
And
It's
he's like,
beautiful.
He doesn't reply with like, "I love you too."
yeah, he's
I thought we agreed that
yeah.
like
Remember
we
earlier
couldn't be
you
in
said,
love.
and she's, we live a lie. Life's the secrets.
That would mean living a lie.
And she said the secret would destroy our lives. And she says, I actually like this line.
You like anything would be better after the line.
No, I
he
think
delivers.
this one line's cute. I think
Okay.
this one line gets to like feeling like an actual young romance.
Shut up, dick.
She goes, I thought we agreed we weren't going to fall in love because this and that, and the secret would do this and would eat us up and destroy our lives.
Just Hayden Christensen's delivery is worse than Griffin, like verbatim, kind of going like, yada 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 yada.
It does destroy our lives. The point is, he ends with, and it would destroy our lives. And then she sort of like looks out towards like the door of the arena. And she goes, I think our lives are about to be destroyed.
That is not a good line.
I like
believe,
it.
I can't
It's
believe
great.
we wasted
It's
all
a
this
great
time
line.
on that. It's not good.
I like it.
It's like kind of I mean that we know. That's why she's
I got
saying
nothing
it.
to lose. Some monster's about to eat me.
Right.
And then she's like, but I do love you. And I think Portman actually kind of does a good job.
She's
this
fine.
I think she does a great
She's fine.
job in this scene.
She actually
And we get the
captures
good music.
the emotion of like a doomed love.
Mm-hmm.
The music plays. They kiss as the doors open and they're
Being wheeled out to be executed,
I
basically.
think this is
In
kind
a
of
very public and graphic
in
manner.
a weird way.
Very weird way.
Yeah.
And it also doesn't help that Newt Gunray is up there and he's like, is she gonna die in front of me? Yeah.
Oh, right, because it's very, very passively, like, offhandedly mentioned that, I realized that Newt Gunray is the one who was trying to kill Pat.
I guess so. Is
yeah,
he
it's
the
mentioned
only one?
like in one sentence.
That
Right.
one hologram that gets interrupted by the destroyer droid
Uh-huh.
has, like, 17 plot points
and you're just
mentioned
like,
very casually. It's like, I got here, Jango Fett, he's here on Geonosis, Count Dooku's here, he's been establishing a droid army that Newt Gunray's going to use to unite the four federations to fight against the Republic, who now have the clone army. By the way, Newt Gunray's the one who is trying to kill Oh no, a droid! Rachel.
Yes.
Bill is all.
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes, maybe.
How does the love plot of this film work for you today? Were there any nostalgic pangs remembering
Yeah.
what it felt like? Or did it all just lay cold, like a bunch of dead Gungans?
I think I mean definitely leaning toward Dead Cold Gungans for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the only like twinges of like nostalgia came from the music and maybe from this like you're saying the execution love confession. I was like, okay, maybe, and then the rest of the movie happens and it's all still kind of bad. And
Because the stakes are actually high in that moment. It's like, they
Yeah.
actually might die. Them confessing their love means something, and they're not just creating artificial blocks.
right, I mean every scene of them before that talking about love you could just take the dialogue from one and plop it onto any of the other ones, and it would be not different. Like them in the refugee like cruiser thing, and like them at the lake. Like you could switch any of those around basically, and it would be the same thing.
It definitely feels like a movie made by someone who hates love.
Absolutely. George Lucas met his wife at a business conference.
His current wife?
His current wife.
Because he was married in the 70s or 80s.
Yeah. And his wife left him for a man who was installing stained glass windows in their house.
I did not know that. Stained glass windows. Really, George.
An artist like Paolo.
Paolo!
His wife was his editor on his first couple movies.
THX and the like. Yeah,
and
THX
American
Graffiti.
Yeah.
And then he didn't work for a while. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
A lot of people theorize that she was kind of like the missing element, that she was maybe the humanity to his work.
I see. Because he was not with his current wife when Attack of the Clones was being made, right? No, he meets her later.
Yeah, I don't think they met until 2003 or
all right.
like
so
that.
maybe, they were having a conference about Attack of the Clones, probably.
Yes,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
But he was a man who lived in a castle by himself, adopted like 3 children.
Filled with stained glass.
Yeah, and was just like, I don't need love. I can raise children on my own. I make art. I'm fine. Like, and then now
George.
it's like, oh, George,
Come on the podcast, George.
you backed yourself into a corner. You got to make a movie about love. And he's like, oh, fuck, what does love sound like? I talk about sand.
I wonder if it was like there was 4 pages of sand talk and Stoppard was like, can we lose all of this? And Lucas was like, no way. And he was like, all right, I'm going to do what I can here.
What were you going to say, Lauren?
Well, I was going to say, I read that she is the one who instated the 2-term limit on being a queen
What
of
a
Naboo.
hero.
Yeah.
Wow.
She was just too precocious for her own good, really.
Yeah.
She's demoted herself.
She should have been dictator for life.
She should
As
have.
Anakin would have preferred.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Because he likes dictators.
Yeah. He liked to dick her
Nope.
taters.
Nope.
What?
No?
Nope.
No, definitely not.
Nope.
No? And we have a very special guest with us today. He is a comedian slash filmmaker slash writer slash actor slash blah, 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 blah. Ladies and gentlemen, Morgan Evans.
Hello.
Hey, Morgan.
How's it going?
Good.
Is this podcast as long as the movie?
Longer.
How long is the 2 and 20?
2 and
20?
Yeah.
Did you watch? You had to watch it.
I watched it last night.
How
yeah.
was it?
I'd seen it before. And
But had you seen it since it came out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I've seen I've watched all 6 a few times.
Okay.
But
don't know what that means. It's very confusing.
yeah.
You've watched all 2 Star Wars movies.
Oh, yes.
right,
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right.
You've watched all 6 movies that have ever been made. So it's Attack of the
yeah.
Clones, Phantom Menace, The
The
Judge.
Judge.
And
There's
Star
3
Tours.
others.
Yeah. And no, I would say that it's not good.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree with
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay, Bug Planet.
Geonosis.
Geonosis.
Bug Planet.
Yeah.
It's where all the Separatists are chilling, right? It's like this
Yeah.
is where they're plotting.
With this mysterious Count Dooku.
We've got Count Dooku.
Here's a new plot thread. He's apparently an ex-Jedi.
Yeah.
Right.
By the way,
That's a choice? We're allowed to do that?
He studied under Yoda.
Yeah.
Studied under. Is how much discussion of there is of Count Dooku before he shows up? There's like maybe a couple
Very
lines.
little.
I feel like they call him the mysterious Count Dooku multiple times.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's just mysterious. That's all we know about him.
Right, and he is in the opening scroll.
Yeah.
Right, they say like he's broken off these planets. The
Right.
mysterious Count Dooku.
Yeah.
Right.
By the way,
Right.
if you're selling a screenplay and you open it up, and the first thing that happens is a title that takes up 3 pages of backstory that's not in the film.
Yeah.
I don't think you could get it made unless you were George Lucas.
That's the
yeah,
whole
unless
fucking
you
point of this
sold
podcast.
them.
Yeah.
It's things where people could do whatever the fuck they want.
We never talked. Did he sell it? Is it the same as Phantom Menace, where he like pre-sold the merchandise rights and that's how he funded it? Was it the same deal?
I think this might have.
Or was Fox
I
more
don't know
involved
if there
this
was.
time?
No. He definitely self-financed it. I don't know if there was as rich a toy deal in advance. Like Phantom Menace was specifically like for that movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's that might have been money left over, but it was self-financed.
But
Fox had nothing to do with
let's
it. They were
just
just
talk about
distributing
it.
it.
We got to
Okay,
talk about
so
it.
Count Dooku, he's talked about in the crawl. There's the scene where Jocasta Nu finger blasts him, but other than that, there's not. He's not,
Recounts him finger blasting her.
no, she finger blasts him.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. They cut that in the middle of the movie.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where she just finger blasts his penis hole.
Are you talking about finger blast? Is that when the lightning? Is that when you use the force and there's lightning? Is that finger blasting?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's great. Oh, great.
Yeah, she finger blasts into his penis hole. She shoots lightning up his pee hole.
Griffin, please help us.
My favorite line happens in the droid assembly line.
Which is?
C-3PO walks in and he goes, "Machines making machines." Like, now I've seen everything, like you haven't. Machines make machines now.
It's true. It's not really science fiction.
Yeah, that happened as soon as Ford came around.
You have to remember, this was a long time ago.
It's true. In a galaxy far, far
This movie was a long time ago.
My favorite line is when C-3PO just says, "I'm so confused." When he's got his head on a things.
What about when his head's being dragged and he goes, "Oh, what a drag!"
Yeah, I wrote that down. I didn't want to forget it at all.
Guys, there's
we
so
will get
much...
to the bizarre inclusion of that 10 minutes
comedy.
of C-3PO.
So much comedy in this movie.
I honestly think it's for kids. I think there's so much heavy
That's true.
talk about shit.
Phantom Menace has it all the way through Jar Jar, whereas this has not had it. So let's give him a concentrated
Up
dose.
until this point, the film has been very mature.
Well, in the A.O. Scott review of it, he was saying that you get this distinct feeling that's will this be on the test? At the beginning of the movie, it's well, the moon of Naboo, and you're like, what the fuck does that, is that important? You guys have been talking for 15 minutes about something, and I have no idea what's going on. And then so I think you need C-3PO being I'm so confused, to be okay, someone gets it.
I can relate to this robot.
Someone gets it by not getting it.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, third film, you'd be setting up, you'd be closing it out. It's a trilogy. You only make 3 films.
3 is enough.
3 is the perfect number. It's a magic number.
And there's a story they're building too. There's some sort of arc to all of this.
Oh,
I don't know what it is.
Right, but you assume in a third film he would have made it all clear. Hindsight's 20/20.
Absolutely.
You would have
seen definitely would have wrapped everything up really satisfyingly
up.
with no trouble at all.
Yeah. We would have we'd understand why they spent. We would have understood why they spent so much time on Boba Fett. Things like that. All these weird little side tracks.
Yeah.
That don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we get back to the main plot?
Okay. So Obi-Wan is in the in the Force thing, and Dooku, who just talking about Mr. X, right? Your thing of the test. Sifo Dyas has been mentioned so much. If you watch this movie, you go, Sifo Dyas is the villain.
Right.
They said he's dead. It turns out he's not really dead.
I still don't know who that is.
We don't know.
No one knows who
the film
Sifo
makes
Dyas
no
is.
effort to explain what they're talking about.
But
and also, they give him the most confusing name where you're Sifo Dyas. Is that his name Sifo Dyas?
But he's the Kaiser Soze.
I thought it was a part they needed.
They need us. We need a Sifo Dyas for the show.
Yeah. Anyway, you're right. They keep talking about this guy who never shows up.
Right.
Yeah.
So then Dooku is they talked about him a few times, but in very vague terms, is he used to be a Jedi. Now he's the Count. Now he's doing good stuff.
Right.
Which I thought it was a lifelong commitment. I thought it's once you give your life to the church, then you're in it for good. Apparently, you can just retire if you get a better job offer.
Well,
they recruit you when you're a baby.
They do.
They raise you. They tell you can't fuck.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're 65,
but you find a way to fuck. Let's be honest.
Dooku fucks.
Dooku fucks. Yeah.
But did they kick him out? Did he retire? Did he find a hot piece he wanted to jump on?
Bug people? Is that why he's there?
Possibly.
Well, he definitely fucked Jocasta because we know that.
We know that.
Yeah.
We know that.
We know that for 100% certainty.
But now he's on a planet with bug people who all seem to be male.
And let's not
not to stereotype, but none of these bug people seem to identify as female.
True. But beyond that point, he didn't really get it. Well, he did kind of get a new job. But he's the leader of all this.
Yeah.
He's the separatist king.
Yeah. Yeah, and now he's on a planet with bug people in an arena made out of vaginas.
Sure. Made out of openings.
Yeah.
And then there's the bug people. There's the trade federation. What are they? The Nemoidians. They're still around.
Yeah. They're hanging out with him a lot.
There's
close
a
buddies
green robot guy who
Wat Tambor.
Yeah, who has he's
brother of Jeffrey Tambor.
And he's unified many people, right? This is the idea.
Right, and they're looking at this killer ship.
They're looking, and they want to get this. What did you call it?
This is the most
killer
dense shit I've ever heard.
It's the densest movie of all time.
Yeah, but even having seen it a bunch of times.
We talk about this movie so in such detail, it's ridiculous.
I mean,
the film barely tells us anything.
You watched it last night.
Yeah, I've seen it a bunch of times, but I would still never know to call them Nemodians. Is that something you Google?
I mean, we've been doing this for months now.
Yeah,
that's the thing. And even every week we have to correct what we said the last week because it turns out we already got things wrong.
Right, yeah,
it's so hard to keep it straight.
Right.
We will watch
It's like
the film.
Scientology.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Tons of new verbs and nouns and stuff you have to know.
Morgan's getting really into Scientology for our listeners at home.
Morgan, move to L.A. and
Morgan's moving to L.A. He thinks he's into Scientology at a safe distance. He thinks he's just interested.
They call me every day.
Yeah, you're about to get totally absorbed by this. This podcast is going to be the last recording of you as a free man.
they're gonna like sue us and make us scrub all of this.
Look, guys,
Yeah.
all I'm saying is that Scientology isn't that bad.
I mean, it's just basically
terrible.
like just feeling good about yourself, and then everything works out okay.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that all Scientology? is?
Morgan, your girlfriend is an actress.
Uh-huh.
And your girlfriend Robin and I were on the same shoot together like 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about you the entire time because both of us were concerned that you were going to get lost to Scientology. We were like, do we have a responsibility to stop this from happening?
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring up Scientology. This is a huge tangent, but I did take 5 hours of Dianetic
exactly.
classes for fun.
Because you were like, I'm just interested. I just want to look into
I was seeing Going Clear with Neil Casey, and
Right.
I walked out, and I was like, am I the only one who came out of that going like this? I want to do this, and he was like, yeah.
Yeah,
You
the answer is
might
you are
be
the only one.
Yeah,
You're the only one who
yeah,
went, this sounds
I
good.
think Tom Cruise came out of that being like, I don't know if this is a good idea.
Tom Cruise is now allegedly leaving
Supposedly leaving.
Scientology
That's what I
because
heard.
of the effect of Going Clear. And you saw the movie and we're like, I got to look
I heard
into
it was
this
over
stuff.
I'll
Surrey.
admit. Yeah, I heard it was
Yeah.
over. I'll admit, I am the person who saw Supersize Me and like left that thinking like, McDonald's. I could really like
McDonald's
right
is
now eat
super
some
good.
McDonald's.
It's so good, but that's
Yeah.
the difference. McDonald's is objectively the
But
best
like
food.
in that movie, you like he eats. Remember, he eats the Big Mac or the Happy Meal or whatever, and then he like throws up outside of the
It
car.
made me
'cause-
hungry. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'd eat that
those
throw up.
fries.
Producer Ben, final thoughts?
How are those tits you were looking at earlier?
Yeah, at one point in the podcast, I noticed a bunch of tits.
That was a pop up, but I
Did you
I have
click
no-
the link for that pop-up?
no, I did not.
Well, how do you get a porn pop up these days?
Well, when
That
you
is
search,
very true. I
when
haven't
you
had
search
movies since
on
I was, like, 14
random
years old.
Star Wars websites,
That's
trying to
what's
look
still
up
that pop-up.
C3PO jokes.
Well, that's kids on there, so they
Kids.
might.
It's just for
Pop ups
kids.
are for kids.
Pop-ups are for
They're like Jar Jar.
Yep.
Me's in the scene now.
Final thoughts: Bug Planet's kind of cool. I don't know.
So you kind of like this part of the movie.
Yeah, I was all right with it.
Ben confessed to me before we started recording that he barely remembers the movie at this point.
Yeah, I don't
It's slippery. As we've said, it's a slippery fucking movie.
It's like Ep 5, and I'm really just checking out.
It's
Yeah.
okay. There's only 5 more of these to go.
we're at the halfway mark.
Right, and then we're gonna do one last Google search to make sure there's no other Star Wars
Ben
movies.
is taking a
he's a-
knife and slitting his wrist the
He
long
is.
ways.
Ben is flashing back to some Dianetics that he had earlier. Yeah.
Yep, past lives and all that. All right. Well, that's it for me.
And our question that we've been... Now we're on to Bum Performance Review, Part 2.
Boom.
The Star Wars movies, the Phantom Menace movies, they're constantly attacked for having shitty performances.
And we're gonna keep track as we did last time.
Right, so we're going to have 2 columns.
Good and bad.
Good and
Yeah.
bad. And I'll keep a tally.
Oh, you're gonna keep tally. Great.
So we're going to try to
That'll
make
keep it
a
mysterious for
definitive
us.
assessment about whether or not the acting in the movie is bad. Because I don't like general statements like, oh, all the acting is bad. You know?
Yeah, but do you remember last time that we came close?
We came really close. We have to be a little harsher
Yeah,
this
we gotta be a
time.
little harsh because we were saying like, oh yeah, that guy who has one line of dialogue, he did fine, great.
Yeah. And the acting in that movie is bad.
It is.
We can't be
We
this.
were really worried at the end. We were like, ooh, this is
boy.
like 15 to 17.
Yeah.
We have to move on to Hayden Christensen.
Bad performance.
Plays Anakin Skywalker
It's a
in
bad
the film.
performance.
It's a terrible performance.
It's a terrible performance.
It's the most ruinous performance in the film. In Phantom, who would you give that award to? Would it be Ahmed Best or would it be Jake Lloyd?
I would say Jake Lloyd.
Oh, interesting. So wow. So Anakin's really the millstone in
Yeah.
these movies.
Yeah, I really think this character is badly written. And,
It's terribly written.
and he's
It's
essentially-
like they're trying to justify some huge payoff.
Yeah.
But it's so baffling because he's mostly just kind of a boring, annoying little tool.
He's also massively different between the two films.
Yeah, it's
like,
very
it's
true.
essentially 2 separate characters, both of whom suck in writing and performance.
And both of whom the movie is obsessed with, and you're not totally sure why. You're
Yeah.
like, this is a crazy universe.
Yeah, are we missing something?
we're
Is
definitely
that
missing
the question
something.
I
Yeah.
have
We're
the whole
definitely
time
missing something.
Yeah.
Oh my
with
god.
both of these,
yeah.
specifically to that character.
I also think it's weird that these movies are so much about how powerful he is, and we don't see that many examples. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you see, like, oh, he's like good at flying
the
a
pod
speeder.
racer. Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
but you're not like seeing like, oh, he's a Jedi who's like really getting a grasp on these things. It's a bad performance.
It's a bad performance.
We don't. We talk
We've
about it
talked
every
about it
episode.
so
We don't
much,
need to
yeah.
talk about it anymore.
Next, Christopher Lee as Count Dooku / Darth Tyrannus.
I mean, this is a great performance.
It's the best performance in the film by far. It is.
There's one candidate I'd maybe throw above. We'll get to that one.
But I think this is the point for like last time I was like maybe a little too effusive about Ian McDiarmid.
I was gonna say. I mean, McDiarmid has less to do in it. I still maybe vote that McDiarmid's the best performance just because this character's so good.
I think Christopher Lee is handed the same platter of shit that everyone else gets in this movie. Really, really bad.
Yeah.
Like it's like. Okay, you need to walk into the room and just deliver reams of exposition. And he's like,
in front of a green screen.
In front of a green screen.
Right.
And he's just like, watch me nail it.
You have to first appear 20 minutes before the end of a 2.5 hour long movie.
Whole movie.
Yeah.
You walk into a room and you just start spouting exposition.
Yeah.
To a suspended, non-interested, non-responsive character who's just like,
He's a class act.
It is masterful.
It's masterful.
And then you're going to fight a cartoon green like old man, and you're going to make that work too.
And it's like good footwork, good form. I like that he's sort of doing more classical, sort of like because his lightsaber is shaped differently.
We haven't talked about his curved lightsaber.
He's got this curved lightsaber.
It's the same though because the blade is the same.
Oh, no question. But the form of how he holds it,
it's very cool.
It changes the way he fights. Design standpoint, it makes no sense whatsoever. But whereas all the other lightsabers, it tends to be a two-handed kind of like classic sword fighting, this kind of thing. This is more like fencing. Like he's sticking the one arm out and kind of doing that.
And maybe that's to compensate for his lack of mobility. He's an older man. But it works.
It gives him more power, and it actually makes him more terrifying because he's just so controlled and so old school. It's a great fucking performance. I mean, he's like turning like it's water into wine.
It's water into wine.
It's water into wine.
It's poop into wine.
It's poop into. He's turning diarrhea into poop wine.
Next, Frank Oz's Yoda.
And once again,
we talked about this. Why is Frank Oz playing this character? Oh God,
Frank Oz, famed puppeteer, a great filmmaker in his own right.
Yeah, he's okay
as a filmmaker or puppeteer.
Filmmaker, great puppeteer.
I mean, he's made like
who's gonna beef with him as a puppeteer? He's pretty famous.
Yeah, he's made like
some
4
great
movies I love.
As much as he made the Muppet movies. But he also,
but also Little Shop of Horrors,
Bowfinger, and he made Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah, those are great.
Yeah,
and he made The Indian in the Cupboard, which I think is pretty good.
That's a movie I think is incredibly solid. But I'm saying you look at the Muppets Take Manhattan.
What About Bob, which is interesting. I forgot about that.
Muppets Take Manhattan, Little Shop of Horrors, and Bowfinger are maybe 3 of my 50 favorite movies ever.
Fair enough. What about In and Out?
In and Out is another solid one for me. I like In and Out. I like What About Bob a lot. I like Indian in the Cupboard.
It's just that after Bowfinger, he made The Score, Stepford Wives, Death at a Funeral. He made 3 turds.
Yeah, well, I mean, people fall off.
Yeah, it's just interesting.
It does
it's crazy
like
that he made The Score. Remember when The Score came out?
Yeah.
And everyone was like, this is it. You got Brando.
Yeah.
Then you got Brando's heir, De Niro. Then you got De Niro's heir, Edward Norton.
He was unquestionably the heir apparent at that point.
And I like Edward Norton, and I'm always interested in what he has to do, but he is not De Niro's heir.
No,
that is not a mantle he has claimed.
That was a weird horse to bet on.
And also, that movie is horseshit. It is so bad.
I was telling someone, this is just a podcast now of us telling stories about other movies and other directors. This is what Performance Review is. I was telling my friend Sarah a story the other day that I think is incredible. So Brando hated Frank Oz.
Interesting.
Didn't respect him.
And didn't he do it with his pants off or something?
This is the story.
This is the story. Right.
So Brando, from day one, agreed to do the movie. He was probably paid $5 million.
Last movie, right?
I think. God, was it his very last screen performance? It might have been.
I think it's his last.
The Island.
No, that was
Dr.
before.
Moreau was before. That movie's out of its mind.
He was supposed to do Scary Movie 2 right after this. They were going to pay him like $7 million to be the opening scene of Scary Movie 2, and he showed up on set with a respirator tank and could barely breathe and was like, I'm ready.
Yep.
And
The Score is his last movie.
The Score is his last film.
Movie.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so that's Marlon Brando's...
Unless you count Superman Returns.
He's great in that.
He is.
He is great in that. He agrees to do the film. They pay him a lot of money. He shows up on the first day. Frank Oz gives him a note. He goes, I'm not fucking listening to you. You're Miss Piggy.
It's funny that he knows that.
He knows it.
You know, living on his weird tropical island with all his like creepy lady servants or whatever, but he's like, no, I know this guy's Miss Piggy.
Yeah, so anytime...
Why did he agree to do the movie?
Exactly. Anytime Frank Oz is like, okay, so for this one, I think we're going to do, start off with a wide, and he's like, no, you're Miss Piggy, we're not doing a wide. So 2 incredible things happen. One is that for the entire duration of the shoot of the Score, Robert De Niro is every day wearing a microscopic earpiece, and Frank Oz whispers into Robert De Niro's ear what he needs as a director, and then De Niro just goes for it. Hey, Marlon, can I throw something out at you? He's like, yeah, sure. And he's like, maybe try doing this time. And Brando's like, yeah, sounds like a great idea. My impressions are on fleek this episode.
They're great.
And so, like, Robert De Niro surrogate directed.
Right.
All
De Niro's a great director, by the way.
Yeah.
Good Shepherd is a fucking masterpiece.
But he didn't pretend like he was the director. He just went like,
yeah, no, he's just
little
like, hey,
peer-to-peer advice. Yeah.
Not only is he a great director, he's a great actor. So he's acting like he's not a director.
That's the thing. I mean, that's the incredible
De Niro.
performance. I'd love to watch
De Niro
that
should have gotten an
performance.
Oscar for the score.
For the behind-the-scenes footage
Best
of the
surrogate,
score.
yeah, best behind-the-scenes performance.
Yeah,
What
and then
if the Oscars did that every year?
be great.
Best like bullshit,
Yeah.
like, you know, from an actor like pretending to like someone.
And then, yeah, the story you were building up to is there was one scene where Brando believed it should be played entirely in a close-up.
Right.
He was like, this is my emotional beat. I want it entirely in a close-up and nothing else with no edits and no coverage.
Yeah.
And Frank Oz was like, I want a wide to like get us into the scene. And Brando was like, nope, only close-up.
Right.
And Frank Oz was like, I need a wide. And Brando was like, okay, let me go back to my trailer and change.
What he did is brilliant. And he must have been 80 years old at this point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He can barely walk.
Right.
He looks like Jabba the Hutt, noted Gorg spitter from The Phantom Menace.
He does. He looks terrible.
Yes. He comes out on set just with no pants and no underwear.
No pants. Yeah.
He's just wearing a shirt, and then his dick and balls are hanging out.
I mean, maybe. I imagine they're obscured by his massive gut.
His dick and balls are in the wind.
They're in there somewhere. His ass is hanging out.
They are hitting fresh air. Whether or not they're visible depends on where you're standing in relation to his tummy. But his dick and balls are out. And he goes, oh, okay, I'm ready for that wide shot. And they just can't do it because the wide shot.
Did no one say like, "Oh, could you put your pants on? Though we need your pants to be on for
They
this
did,
scene."
and he went, "Oh no, I'm ready to shoot. I'm good to go. Let's."
Anyway,
let's
Frank
roll."
Oz gets a thumbs down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's a
I already
great
marked
performance.
that.
And he couldn't even direct
Couldn't even
Brando. What
rein
a
in
pussy.
Brando. Tamura Morrison is Jango Fett, the great Tamura Morrison, a New Zealand actor. He's a Maori.
This is a really tough one.
I think he's okay.
Yeah.
He, in his one scene with the helmet off, he projects a little bit of menace.
The scene in his quarters when he's talking to Obi-Wan.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some interesting tension there. That feels like a real scene of two actors acting against each other. Unlike
Yes.
all the other scenes in the movie. That's
a little bit.
But that's like it's a little touch of like, oh, right, that's why it's good to have actors in movies, because you get tension, you get energy from the interplay of the two of them.
Right.
There's like an actual back and forth there that's kind of interesting.
Kind of interesting. Can we say he's good?
Most of the
It's a
movie, he's
stretch.
wearing a fucking helmet.
I don't. Yeah.
I mean, even the sidelines, it's mostly a physical performance. That's like the one.
He's all right.
He's all right.
I think
good is strong.
All right, I
but
think
bad is strong
Let's
too.
give him
That's the
let's
problem.
give him a thumbs up. You gonna give me a thumbs down?
I'm gonna give you a thumbs down because
All
I
right,
want
Ben,
Ben to
break
pick
this
on
tie.
this one. Break this tie.
Ooh, this is tough.
Right? Because he's not bad and he's not good.
Right. He really is down the middle.
He's got moments of both.
I'm trying to think when he leading up to his death.
Yes.
Is there any kind of interaction between him and his son?
Oh, absolutely not. He's standing
he doesn't have any.
at the little box with Dooku, and he's like, go out there, get him, puts his helmet on, goes, gets his head sliced off.
Yeah.
For how much they like make a point of being like, Jango Fett had only one request, is to raise a clone as his own, you never really see any emotional bond between the two of them.
Yeah. And I feel like it doesn't get resolved at all, or
No.
there's no kind of real showing of that relationship, father-son, or whatever the fuck it is.
But is it like, does he just want this kid so he can train him? Does he actually care about him? Is he lonely? Like that one scene that is kind of good in how he plays off of Ewan McGregor, he's given nothing off the kid. Like he's just going like, Jango, hit that door.
Yeah. Very, very, very restrained. It's all internal.
Gotta give us something. I mean, but
he's a bad guy, right? I
He's
mean,
a bad guy.
He's a bad guy, and he is not. He's kind of menacing, like you said.
Kind
but
of.
I don't know
in a
if he-
phantom-y way.
If you compare him to the performance of Christopher Lee, who's like a great bad guy.
Oh, Ben, I think is raising.
He's got it.
So
all right, give
I'm
him a
gonna
no.
go. I'm gonna
I
give
gotta
him a
say
no.
bad. He never really feels like a threat. Yeah.
That's fair. I think that's very fair.
I think that's
Sorry,
a good
Tamura,
point.
you're great in other movies. Once Were Warriors is a great movie.
And it's almost a good performance, but we just fall on bad, and a lot of it was once again the hand you were dealt. George Lucas is dealing out poo-poo cards.
That is very true.
You got the ace of poops, my friend.
Jimmy Smits.
Okay.
As Senator Bail Organa.
now-
we have not talked about this
No,
performance.
we haven't talked about this at all.
What a weird one.
So Jimmy Smits at this point is coming right off of NYPD Blue.
And LA Law.
Yeah.
You're talking about 10, 15 years as one of America's top TV hunks.
Right.
He's got Emmys. He's got Golden Globes.
But I'm saying he had just left NYPD Blue before coming on this. So at this point, we're this is one of the steadiest presences of the small screen.
Yeah, we love him.
He was on fucking Miami Vice too, right?
No, LA Law.
Wasn't he on Miami Vice for a couple episodes?
Oh,
I know he wasn't a regular on LA Law. I am not a fucking
he was a regular
plebeian.
on LA Law.
I know he was a regular on
sure.
LA Law. I know he wasn't a regular on Miami Vice. I think he had an arc. You fucking dunce.
He's in Brothers Keeper, which is the greatest. Only the one episode, but he's in that episode, which is the
of
greatest.
Miami Vice.
Yeah, which
So
is the
I
greatest.
nailed it.
It looks like it's his first credit too, which is crazy.
So that's why I remembered, and it was a good episode.
It's it's the pilot.
Right.
And
Very quick,
that's fine.
The
very
Michael
quickly,
Mann.
I don't want to interject, but you guys realize that you just set up someone by being just coming off of NYPD Blue. Who knows this stuff? You two are ridiculous.
This is a big show.
All right.
NYPD Blue, people loved it.
People loved it.
LA Law, he was a hunk du jour. He jumps straight onto another hit, steers it into the golden land of Hitsville.
Sure, he replaced David Caruso. NYPD Blue has one big season with David Caruso. Caruso's a big star. He jumps ship. Goes to be in
don't
movies.
fucking scoff at us.
No.
This is an important narrative.
He's in
You
Jade.
guys are great together. This is
NYPD blows up. Everyone's like, it's all thanks to that Caruso.
Caruso's
got it.
Your next big star. Caruso's like, I'm too big for this town. I'm going to Hollywood. So in comes Smith.
Man, Caruso leaves. Everyone goes, fucking, you can't do Blue without Caruso. You might as well call it NYPD Carew. You might as well. People thought the show was
NYPD
dead.
Red because of his hair.
Because of his hair. NYPD.
Yeah, no, it's
Caruso.
crazy. And they bring in Smiths. What does Smiths do?
It takes
Turns
it to
it
the
into
next
a gold
level.
mine.
My
Smithsifies.
point is, they handed him. Smiths is a
talked
man
one bit about
who
his
has been
performance in
handed a deck of shitty cards before, and he's fucking won. He swept the table. Guy knows how to play a game. Fucking good movies too. He was in American Me?
Great movie. That is a great movie. That's
guy's
a great movie.
good.
My Family.
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, there's this major a movement of Latino dramas, independent Latino dramas in the 90s and 80s, and he's starring in a lot of them, doing really good work in important films. They're changing a national conversation. You fucking idiot, Ben.
How is he in Star Wars Episode 2?
Not good.
Attack of the Clones. Oh, whoa.
What?
What's buried down there right at the bottom? Right at the bottom, security guard in Babe Pig in the City.
What?
Another Australian film.
Yeah. I love this guy. I gotta say now.
All right, thumbs up.
No, I
Good
think
job, Anthony.
I think got
Phelan.
great voice, mostly delivering exposition, but
he's
with
fine.
a really
He's good.
interesting rhythm.
Yeah.
I like
But
it.
then how do you feel about Rena Owen as Lama Sue?
Like it too.
Now,
I like these Camonians.
yeah, Caminoans.
I might be a little swayed by I like their design so much, and I think
She's a
they're
New Zealand actress.
I think they're the one example of CGI effects in the movie that totally hold up. I think especially in close-ups they look really great.
They hold up. The backgrounds don't.
Looks
but
terrible.
They hold up.
I think the acting work on those characters is really strong and subtle, and I think the detail work on the actual models is really, really good.
Rena Owen also in Once Were Warriors. I believe she's the female lead of Once Were Warriors.
Interesting.
She's great.
Reteamed with Tamara Morrison.
Here's something I want to tell you.
Yeah.
She is one of 6 actors in the world to have worked with both George Lucas and Steven Spielberg.
What was
she
the
is in
Spielberg movie?
AI.
Playing?
Let's find out.
I watched AI like a week ago.
One of my favorite movies ever made.
Great movie.
Seriously, the best. She plays a ticket taker.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool for her, though.
I'm sorry, that didn't blow you more.
No, it's cool for
away.
her. Next performance.
I would like to know who the other 5 are, though. I'd have to think about that. Harrison Ford. No, he wasn't. No, yeah, he's in American Graffiti.
Right, he's American Graffiti, and he's in the Indiana Jones films.
I pulled myself out of that tailspin. Anyway.
Real indie style.
Aletha McGrath as Madame Jocasta Nu. Alethea McGrath.
Well, okay, so this is tough.
I think she's good.
I mean, I think she's great if we assume she's playing what we have put on this character.
Yeah, right. She's playing a desperate attempt to keep secret the fact that she had an affair with Count Dooku.
That she feels protective of him and his information because she thinks what they had was love, and for him she was just another side piece, you know? I think that's an interesting performance that she's playing there. Otherwise, you could say that maybe she's
kind of annoying. Yeah. She's fine. Let's give her a thumbs up.
I give her a thumbs up.
Wait a second. How many thumbs up do we have?
So far, we are at 12 thumbs up and 14 thumbs down.
Let's give her a thumbs down. I'm worried about this.
It's getting too close. I thought we were being so negative this one. How did this get
then we
close
gave
again?
both of the Comedoans thumbs up.
Yeah, I mean, those are thumbs up. We should have been saving up for those
I'm excited for this one.
Okay.
Susie Porter as WA7. Do you know who WA7 is?
Flo?
Exactly. There she is, the waitress from Dexter's thingy. His restaurant.
What's there to discuss?
It's a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an automatic thumbs up. It's a thumbs up and 2 dicks up. I'm rock as a board. Rock as a board.
Rock as a board.
I'm rock as a board, man.
She also played a character called Hermione Bagua, who...
In this movie?
In this movie, who is another waitress at Dexter's
Oh, yes, the
diner.
human waitress in the background.
Yeah, so she's both characters. So she's playing all the waitresses.
So let's give her 2 thumbs up.
No, 1 thumb up is enough.
For a grand total of 4 thumbs.
Anyway, then we have...
2 dicks.
Then we have Matt Doran as Elon Sleaze-Bagano.
Oh, I mean...
Another Australian actor, best known for another film, his performance in another film, also shot in Sydney.
Mouse in the Matrix. Yeah, I mean, I love this guy. I always think about... wonder what happened to him. I mean, he made such a big impression on me.
He seems to mostly make Australian things. He's not done much. He's in a lot of shorts these days. It's not, it kind of fell off.
I mean, dude fucking kills it in this. I'd say it's probably my favorite supporting performance of 2002.
I think this is so bizarre, but okay. It's not.
Should have won an Oscar. It's got fucking razor-sharp comic timing. You see an entire arc of a man having to question all his life choices up until that. He's got 40 seconds. You see a man reassessing everything he's ever done, ever been. He's a sleaze-bagging, though, David. He never had a chance.
Yeah, he gets a thumbs up. Let's move on.
You're at now 14 thumbs up and 20 thumbs down.
Well, we're almost over.
Okay.
Alex Knoll is J.K. Pertola. Do you know who that is?
No.
It's the 4-year-old initiate who knows where the fucking system is.
Oh, yes.
You giving him a thumbs up?
Yeah, kid's great.
All right.
He's got the goods. What's he been up to since then?
Alex Knoll, what's he been up to? Let's see. He's not in any other films ever made.
Okay, well, one and done. Sometimes.
Phoebe Yamikati as Mary Amethyst, another of the initiates, a 4-year-old human Jedi initiate. She's a little Asian girl. I don't remember her in this film at all.
Oh, she sounds cute. Give her a thumbs up.
She's very cute.
Yeah, it's adorable.
And finally, Kenny Baker as R2-D2.
I mean, once again, how do we even rank this, right?
I don't know. How do you He's the last credited performer.
What do you do? I don't know how much of that was CGI. What was
he's
he just
in
working
there?
The
oh, he's in there.
What, he's flying?
Yeah, he can fly it. He can fly it. He
installed Kenny Baker can fly? How do you fucking...
He's in there. He's in there. We know it.
No.
We know it. We know he's in there.
I say it's another... I say what, we gave him a too close to call last time. What do we do? We ranked him neither good nor bad. He was the one...
Yeah, he gets a question mark.
He gets a question
I
mark.
want to point out that Liam Neeson is uncredited as Qui-Gon Jinn archive sound. Is there even an archive sound? Is that something that Yoda hears, maybe?
Yeah, I forget what the moment was. I looked this up. There's some scene where you can hear Qui-Gon's echo underneath another piece of dialogue.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. They're very vague. Anyway.
Yeah, I give him a thumbs down for that. He should have looked at his contract and made sure that they weren't allowed to fucking reuse his dialogue in other movies.
Okay, so what's our final tally?
Okay. So, final tally is 15 thumbs up.
Okay.
20 thumbs down, and 1 question mark for Kenny Baker.
I'm more comfortable with that. I still think we gave too many thumbs up.
So who do we give thumbs ups to?
Kit Fisto, all over the Child Jedi, both Kimonians. Ewan McGregor, Christopher
Anthony
Lee,
Daniels,
Ian McDermott, Anthony Daniels as the bar patron.
We gave thumbs up to the whole cast of Dexter's Diner.
Joel Schumacher.
So good. I loved it when he told
He's a nice guy.
We also gave Jack Thompson underrated performance.
Oh, right. I forgot we gave him that award.
And Ian McGregor got possibly most improved.
Lars. Right, okay, so most improved. Let's go on a couple other superlatives. Most improved is Ewan McGregor. Jack Thompson wins underrated. I'd say Dexter Jettster's MVP.
Yeah, all right. He's the most memorable.
Oh, so you're saying he's an MMP?
I'm so hot and tired. This episode might be our longest ever episode.
That's not true.
Well, the commentary is longer.
We'll cut some stuff out.
No, we won't. No. Add stuff in.
Add stuff in.
Yeah,
Sure.
Ben, if you could add some stuff in.
Yep.
Yeah, if you can cut in like more of the erotic fan fiction.
I could do that.
That
Yeah.
episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could do that. Maybe some Michael Jackson music.
Would love that. Can you end this episode with "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough"?
Yeah.
Play it 6 times.
Yeah,
Sure.
and a loop.
Yeah, just back to back to back. And if they sue us, tell them they can take all their complaints right to the UCB, right to the top.
To my boss.
Yeah,
to the Big Four.
all the way to Besser.
To the Big Four.
Great.
Yeah, tell them to knock on Amy Poehler's door.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Can Amy Poehler be a guest on this show?
definitely. We'll get her on next week.
I'll email her, see if she's interested.
What is she, Amy@ucb.com or something like that?
It's actually amy.poehler
Polar.
at
UCB.
Gmail.
That is R.I.P. Harris Whittles. That is one of Harris Whittles' one of my favorite tweets of his, which was just like here's a little scoop. Everyone you like, their email address is just their name at gmail.com.
Anytime I've ever gotten an acting job where I'm like a tiny part in a thing with big ass actors and there's a mass email, I'm like, oh, literally everyone's
just
email
their
is like tom.cruise@gmail.com. Everyone. You could guess any celebrity's email.
Now, whether they'll reply to you, that's another story.
Well, they're busy.
They're very busy
They're
people.
very busy people. Yes. You want to know the dumbest thing about this movie my parents are making?
Go ahead.
And how much stress and anxiety it's cost me and how little sleep I'm getting and all this stuff?
Yeah, sure.
Literally moving 5 blocks away.
Right, they're moving within a neighborhood, basically.
Yeah, and my dad, we went and got dinner the other night, in the quote-unquote new neighborhood.
Right.
And he's like, what do you think of the new neighborhood? Pretty hip, huh? 5 blocks.
But it's not a new neighborhood, is it?
No, they're moving. They're
literally moving within the village.
They're moving 4 avenues over.
Yeah. All right. Well, new neighborhood. Hey, man, if you live one place for, I don't know, how long have they lived in that place?
My dad's lived there for probably about 35 years.
You know?
Yeah.
Anything's a change.
Yeah, I agree. But that speaks more to the fact that my father never went beyond a 5-block radius.
He's a parochial man.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
He works 2 blocks away from where he's lived for the last 35 years.
Sure.
And
it sounds like a good life.
He has only 2 places where he eats.
Really?
Yeah.
So I could go find your dad if I went to wherever.
Well, he used to always go to Grace Papaya on 8th.
I know,
and
on 8th and
6th.
6th. That's, and it's gone now.
Got demolished by a liquidaria.
Wait, your dad has been eating Gray's Papaya hot dogs as a meal for decades?
Yeah.
Those things are not exactly if I eat 3 of those, it's an emergency.
Did I mention that my father's dead? That he died 25 years ago.
So when you say he's moving a few avenues over, you mean a few avenues into heaven.
He's a ghost dad.
Yeah. Let's not talk about Ghost Dad.
He's a ghost dad, directed by Sidney Poitier.
No.
Yeah, my father, he would only eat Grace Papaya. He'd get the recession special, which was the two dogs and
2
a
dogs
drink.
and a soda or whatever.
Right.
Or
and
a papaya.
He would, by the way, this is a podcast about Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, the sequel to The Phantom Menace. He would get the recession.
For our first-time listeners, in case you're just tuning in, this is...
This isn't Talking Dad. This is Attack of the Podcast.
Please go ahead.
Griffin Dave present Attack of the Podcast, where we talk about the second and final Star Wars film.
Now, my dad, let me just know.
Well, let me finish up my dad, and then we'll all have time to talk about dads.
No,
we got an hour
I have
ahead
another
of us.
thing I want to talk about.
We all got time
ahead.
to talk about our dads. He would order the recession special, and then the Atkins craze hit, and my father was like, I do have a bit of a belly. I should probably lose some weight.
Okay.
So then he did what he called the modified Atkins,
All right.
which was he got the recession special but without buns. So he would just eat a Grace Papaya wiener. He would just eat 2 wieners.
That's gross.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also, how do you even how are you it's a hot tube of meat.
Yeah, they would just throw it at him. They throw it into his mouth.
I love Grace Papaya.
It's the best,
it still exists on 72nd and Broadway.
That's the only other true, pure Grace Papaya. It's important to note. There's Papaya Dog.
I'm fine with the other papayas. They're just not
They're
as
fine.
good.
It's not the same thing.
But if I want a cheap-ass meal
Yeah.
at 11 at night or whatever in Manhattan, then
Yes.
yeah.
But there's the Papaya Dog on what is it, like 6th Avenue, and like it's right next to the IFC.
That's correct.
Like near Waverly.
Yeah.
And that one is fine, but they also sell fucking like Philly cheesesteaks and chicken fingers and all these things.
Yeah, it's
like,
horseshit. You should just have hot dogs.
Well, that's the thing. Grace of Pie just fucking knew. It's like 6 fruit drinks.
Yeah. Well, the weird
hot dog.
The weird thing about Grace of Pie is they're like, we're going to be a hot dog place, and what do people like with hot dogs? Papaya juice. And
exotic fruit drinks.
It really does feel like it's like someone's like, I'm going to open a bagel store, and like, what do people like with bagels? Papaya juice. Like, it doesn't match with anything. But they just decided, you know what? They're going to have the fucking papaya juice.
I think the point you're making here is papaya juice doesn't go well with anything.
It doesn't really go.
It's just weird. It's a weird juice.
Both movies hinge on this moment where Palpatine gets someone to do something for him.
Mm-hmm.
So in the first movie, Padme voted no confidence in Chancellor Valorum. And for some reason, even though there are a million senators in this like tube hall that they live in filled with like little flying platforms, no one has the guts to do it, but Padme does it. And then the second movie, same thing. I wish someone would, vote for an army of the Republic and Jar Jar Binks.
Okay, so in this system, do you just need one vote to get something passed?
You need one vote to propose it, I guess. That's what I'm asking. Right. It seems silly that it's not come up before.
And like the Jar Jar Binks thing, is it like, because Jar Jar's not proposing it, is it like, oh, they were deadlock tied, they need one additional vote out of 50 million votes? It's a dead tie right now. 25 million yay, 25 million.
Here's some backstory on the Galactic Senate.
Yeah, please.
The Galactic Constitution invested it with the power to regulate trade, maintain maps of hyperspace routes, and had a Supreme Chancellor. Originally,
so this is all just about fucking trade and routes,
if you just have if you have a planet, you just get to be in it.
Okay.
And then I think it seems like it changes. I don't know. This is like so long.
See, I'm starting to have like a panic attack about this. Can you click on Galactic Constitution, because I think this is just a fucking rabbit hole we're going to keep on going down.
It is linked to.
This is what I don't understand. So originally it used to be any planet gets represented. That makes sense.
The Constitution was written in 25,000 BBY. Oh, so we're talking about 25,000 years before this movie.
Born before Yoda, yeah.
By a member of House Organa, which is Jimmy Smits' house. So that's how long Jimmy Smits' family's been around. 25,000 years.
Okay.
It's the same Constitution, although it has been modified. And it creates a Senate and a Supreme Court. It's just a ripoff of our system.
But is it like the UN? Is it like NATO?
No, it's like the American government.
And each planet essentially functions as a state?
Yeah, exactly. You nailed it.
How meaningless do you feel if you're an entire planet, an entire world?
Imagine if there were 50 million states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And each state was that large and had so the one planet of Naboo, which functions as a state.
Little planet.
Right. We see how different the fucking Gungans live from how the humans live.
True.
Not to mention all the wacky, spooky sea creatures. And you're telling me one person gets a vote to represent all of them. When the Gungans don't even seem to fucking respect. It's only at the end of Phantom Menace that they're like, okay, Padme, we can work together.
This is all very fair. It's all very true. So the Galactic Senate has 2,000 Congress people, a.k.a. senators, representing sectors, systems, individual planets, corporations, and guilds.
Imagine being someone who's assigned to speak for an entire system of planets.
Some are elected directly, some are appointed by a planet's ruler, some are a planet's ruler. And they are the only ones with voting power.
How does it...
I don't know. You could join or be a signatory to someone who had joined.
But is it like the UN? Is it like NATO? I mean, it's
You asked that already. You asked that 5 seconds ago.
Because I don't understand
know.
this.
I think it's like our government.
But here's the thing. So you're telling me whoever the chancellor is allowed to tell every single fucking planet what to do?
No, because the chancellor's like the president, right? All right, well, all right.
Right, the president of the galaxy?
Yeah.
Of the universe?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, of the Republic, of the organization that is helping to,
The Senate is led by a Supreme Chancellor. So it's kind of like a speaker, you know?
Right.
Like that's,
so maybe he's almost more of a prime minister than a president.
Kind of, exactly, yeah.
Okay, but...
He's elected by the representatives of the Senate. He could serve 2 4-year terms before having to retire.
But their main function is just to figure out fucking trade routes.
Here's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
All of the chancellors elected between 1,400 BBY and 1,000 BBY. Again, Attack of the Clones takes place in like 30 BBY.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
All the chancellors elected in that period, in this 400-year period, were Jedi.
Oh, shit.
But then that was broken by some other guy.
This
is all 1,000 years before the movie. Doesn't matter.
They were Jedi.
Yeah, so they used to be Jedis.
Right. They trained Jedis to be keepers of the peace.
Yeah.
They would be good at that.
Anyway, apparently the Supreme Chancellor is not an important position until Palpatine takes it over. Before then, it is kind of like a functionary trying to corral all these people. Palpatine's the one who kind of turns it into a dictatorship.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just feel like I fucking give up. I have a surprise. We're going to get back to talking about politics in 45 minutes, but I have a surprise.
You have a surprise?
Yeah.
Wait. I actually am unprepared for whatever he's going to do.
I was debating whether or not to do this, but I think we've hit a point we got to do it.
What?
Talking about what a difficult kid I was.
Oh, wait. Do you have like a picture?
No, I've been going through my parents'
right.
shit.
I forgot. That's a treasure trove.
Yeah, and I found something.
Back in Blackfaced. Or,
No.
can you minstrel show me? I don't think you said that before.
I forgot that part.
Can you minstrel show me How to Get to Racism Street by Griffin Newman? This is the essay. I mean, for people who might not know, this is the essay you wrote. Well, what year? Do you know what year?
This probably would have been 2004.
Okay, and it's about Hollywood's history of minstrelry.
Yes. It was me trying to solve the racial ills of the world.
You were trying to solve it. What class did you write this for?
History. American history. I think it was American history.
And, what was the assignment?
Write about something.
Write about something. Griffin went to, a hippie school.
Yeah, I just remember that the fact that I chose this topic was, very odd and surprising and off base.
They did not expect you to do that?
No, because I don't think,
You got it good.
Yeah.
Griffin, I very much enjoyed reading this paper.
Hey, now.
You made a fine, impassioned, struggling here, sorry, case against the strife of some black entertainment.
He writes black entertainment in quotes.
In quotes.
As if it's a
And your use of Amos and Andy is very effective.
I did a lot of research. I watched
You do a good job of describing the origins of minstrel shows and what they represented. What you needed to develop more was the time between minstrelry and the time of Amos and Andy.
Uninteresting to me.
What did the four white men do? I don't know what that means.
I think they were a group.
What sort of shows became popular? How did minstrel shows become so acceptable that between that you could end up with Amos and Andy? And you pass over the Jazz Singer and Birth of a Nation too quickly, Griffin. Yeah. Those are seminal moments in film, both for how they looked, messages they portrayed, and how obviously they sounded. And obviously how they sounded. That's what he's saying.
Obviously how they sounded.
Right.
Yeah.
You can establish a timeline rope. But he did enjoy the views. You don't get a grade. This is St. Anne's. They don't give you grades.
They don't give you grades.
Oh my god!
Fuck. He went to the.
He
went to the same school my girlfriend went to.
They write an essay. Let me see if I can find the section on Beauty Shop.
So when
Beauty Shop's a crazy great movie.
I hate it.
I know it's so good.
This is the kind of school though where they hug you.
It's to
get a grade or
Lena
something.
Dunham went there. It's like a hippie Brooklyn rich kid
you
private school.
write essays instead.
It was like
Jesus Christ.
It was founded with the purpose of being a nice alternative school for kids who maybe think differently or whatever. But then it's a private school in Brooklyn. I think just a lot of rich people sent their kids there.
So you want to hear some really misguided, disgusting things I said? I just want to read some excerpts. Jesus Christ. Everyone's going to stop listening to this show.
Everyone's already stopped. How many years? How many minutes have we been recording? How many years?
40.
Okay.
For a show that's not allowed to be replayed on television, the quote-unquote racist characters of Amos and Andy. So I'm calling into question whether or not they're racist, which is not my place to do.
True.
Use better grammar than the characters in films like Soul Plane. Are
Griffin,
smarter.
this is terrible territory that you're in. You should really be clear about this.
Yeah. Griffin of
you
today.
are telling people how to talk, essentially. Yeah.
Smarter than characters in films like Guess Who.
So you just want to be contrarian about hey man, Amos and Andy, that was well-written entertainment compared to this nonsense.
Yeah, I think that was my big point, was I thought as a comedy writer, Amos and Andy had good jokes.
I'm taking this away from you.
No, because I got to read this one other sentence.
Right,
I know I'm digging myself into a pit.
You are.
smarter than characters in films like Guess Who, and will accomplish more than characters in films like My Baby's Daddy. So I was like looking at a film like My Baby's Daddy, which if you don't remember was like the urban remake of Three Men and a Baby.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't. It was three men who have
I'm gonna look it up.
children out of wedlock and then have to deal with being single fathers. It was Anthony Anderson, Eddie Griffin, and Michael Imperioli were the three men. And I was passing judgment on what those characters would go on to accomplish in their lives after the film.
Right.
Above all, though, Amos and Andy was a well-written, humorous show.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I have no idea.
Right.
I don't understand. How did I get a good...
I'm
this is the
taking
most
it away from you.
offensive thing
this
ever.
This is the horrible privilege that you are invested with. You could write this nonsense and no one would slap you down.
We can ask how we live in a society where children are getting abortions at age 13 and then nominated these songs for Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards, a show whose winners are chosen by the children of the world, but the nominees are selected by committees of
the children of the world.
What am I
David,
saying?
by the way, you went to school in England, right?
I went to school in England.
Yeah, I went to school in North Jersey. Like
Crazy.
No, it was like my grade was basically just they would just stamp like you're not gonna go anywhere in life. That was like the grade and the notes I got.
It was just a grade. It was a letter grade or a grade out of 10. It was pretty simple. You know, they gave me a grade. They graded my work.
Like if you did okay, you wouldn't get punched in the arm.
No, just be like, good job. 8 out of 10.
That sounds nice.
Whatever. Normal.
Here's the exact sentence I was looking for, and I'm going to throw this away because I can't fucking...
Please, I need to look at it, but you are not allowed to
I'm
going to
be murdered the second after I read this sentence out
loud. You wrote
loud.
Pimp and Hoe on page 6.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I also write unintelligent, overly sassy, sluttish women on page 4.
Got him.
Here's the sentence. Ready for me to be murdered?
Please just...
Guys, just
get
watch
this
the
out of the
door
way.
because someone's going to walk in and stab me.
Go ahead.
Fucking Joe Biden
This is our
gonna
fan fiction
strangle
episode
me.
where I'm actually just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is the sentence.
What
where
is
I
it?
fucking
Say
do
the sentence.
It's so clean. The spin-off Beauty Shop, however, is far more racist than Amos and Andy ever was.
Now, let's talk about Beauty Shop for a second, which I think is a tremendous movie.
I haven't seen it since then, but clearly it made me very angry at the time.
Beauty Shop is...
Once again, not my place to fucking...
No, you don't know what you're talking
decree.
about.
No, I had no idea what I was talking. I thought I was gonna fucking solve it.
I think you're kind of like a Richard Cohen in the Washington Post, just to bring it to mention like an old white op-ed writer who's sort of like doesn't understand what he's seeing in culture these days, and is like, these movies seem to denigrate people. Women seem to not have it, and like I don't understand. This is terrible. Like not understanding like culture reflects all kinds of things that are going on in society, rather than lecturing or whatever, and also you're not allowed to tell people how to talk.
Agreed. 100% agreed. If I've learned anything in the last 12 years of my life, it's like, what should you be talking about? Fucking Attack the Clones.
Yeah,
that's a thing you can be an authority on.
Anyway, I love Beauty Shop. I saw it in theaters. I
Me too.
reviewed it for my college newspaper, and I said, I think I said it was fine. I don't know if I gave it a rave, but
you didn't write an 8-page paper about how it was worse than Amos and
I think
Andy?
I gave it like 3 out of 5 and said like it's a good time. It's a little silly.
I regret literally everything right now. I regret writing this paper.
You regret your father's sperm entering your mother's ova.
I regret
and forming a zygote.
Yeah. Ben's
giving me a weird look.
I regret everything.
I didn't have sex education at my school, so.
What was your school? Did you just go to school in like some alley where they like threw bricks at you?
So it was.
There were lessons written on the bricks.
It was like kind of like there was like a highway, and then you'd go down the embankment.
Yeah,
and it was like kind of a ditch. Yeah.
Anyway, Beauty Shop, spin-off of Barbershop 2.
Which I love the 2 Barbershop movies.
Which had kind of Barbershop 2 had this sort of backdoor appearance by Queen Latifah with the idea that she would go make her own movie, right? Mm-hmm. She's not really a big part of it.
No, they established that she's an ex of Ice Cube's character.
Yeah, and she does hair.
Yeah.
And then in Beauty Shop she has moved to, I believe it's Atlanta. And she talks about like, oh, Miss Chicago, but great to be here in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And it's mostly about like she gets this old busted beauty shop and fixes it up with the help of Alfre Woodard as
Academy Award nominee.
And as another beauty shop employee and some other stylists. She's got a daughter. I think she has like a kid. I think it's a daughter.
Yeah,
a cute kid. She used to work for an Austrian mean hairdresser man played by Kevin Bacon, who she has abandoned, called like George or something. I forget what his name. Like Jorge. I don't know what it's very
Yeah.
weird. It's like he's just like an evil white European. Like he has this sort of amorphous accent.
Yep.
And Jaimon Hounsou plays
Academy Award nominee.
2-time. Plays a very handsome African, I think he's Nigerian immigrant who's an electrician and like fixes up the place with her, and then they fall in love.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. Everyone was freaking out about Andie MacDowell in Magic Mike XXL.
Yeah.
Her little appearance playing this kind of like older Southern lady who's
She
sort
does
of...
the same thing.
She does the exact same thing in Beauty Shop, which was 9 years previous. Alicia Silverstone is also in it as like a sort of a dumb white lady who says things like, for your FYI.
Yeah, that's probably what I was offended by as a dumb white lady myself. Ben,
I think it's a fun movie. It's very formless, which I kind of like. It's really just about someone starting a business, and then like she successfully starts the business.
Ben, you smoke. Do you have a lighter on your person?
Yeah.
When we're done with this episode, I'd like to go outside and burn this paper.
No, it's great. You can't burn it.
I'm. Oh, God.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Look, it's part of your history.
Yeah.
As shameful as it is.
This was like my minstrel show.
All right, just
that
stop
was
talking.
like the dark part of my history, the worst level of race relations, where I felt like I had the authority to write a paper on minstrel shows.
It's crazy that you wrote that. How old were you?
15.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Is nuts.
Is nuts.
Is nuts.
Anyway,
but
Star
here's
Wars
my
Attack of the
question.
Clones has very confusing politics.
Are they the UN? Are they NATO? What are they?
I don't know.
It's not fair.
Welcome, one and all, to Griffin and David present Attack of the Podcast.
Hi, Griffin.
Hi, David.
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Well, I was on vacation last week, and I screwed up our recording schedule, and we missed a week, and I feel bad about it.
It worked out great because I needed that extra day to do more community service to offset the negative energy I put into the world with our last episode.
Our last episode...
Donating all my time and money.
Our last episode was really embarrassing. But it was actually really fun to listen back to.
JD...
our guest is here.
Our guest...
We'll introduce him later.
Multi-hyphenate JD Amato.
Yeah,
we haven't introduced him yet.
We haven't introduced him, but explain to JD.
You know... In the Jenks, how it doesn't make... Have you seen the Jenks?
I've seen the Jenks, yeah.
So you know how it makes no sense that he stole that sandwich? And you're like, this guy's on the run. Everyone's looking for him.
Yeah.
He has $35,000 in a bag or whatever.
Yeah, in his car. He doesn't need it. Why did he steal the sandwich? And it's like some part of him was like, it was a cry for help. Like he wanted to be caught.
Right.
I don't want to talk about this fucking movie anymore. I am so tired of this fucking movie. And I spent the last 2 weeks analyzing why, in our last episode... I read large sections, too many sections. Ben had to cut some out of a history paper I wrote in 10th grade called Back in Blackface, or Can You Minstrel Show Me How to Get to Racism Street, which was me trying to tackle the entire issue of representation of African Americans in the media in only the most inappropriate way possible.
In only the way that a young white male could.
Yep.
The weirdest thing is that Griffin is still talking about this when he really should let it
I'm explaining to JD. But okay. I don't want to talk about this movie anymore. I was trying to, we're happy to have you here. We're happy to talk about it. For once, I will say, I mean, this will tie into everything we're talking about today. I do find myself relating to Georgie Porgy Lucas more in the wake of that paper.
Oh, I see.
Because it's the same thing where I thought I was really doing good and taking a good stand. And this week, we're talking about Attack of the Clones, the second Phantom Menace movie from a filmmaking standpoint.
Sure.
JD Amato, who we haven't introduced yet.
No, we haven't introduced him. Maybe like 20 minutes from now.
20 minutes from now.
Yeah. Sure.
Is among many things one of the finest young filmmakers of his generation.
Thank you. Well, I know I have not been introduced yet, but I will say this is not my thank you to you guys. I'll do that once you introduce me. But thank you for having me on the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm excited to talk about this movie.
Of course.
One of the strangest sequels in film history.
No question. No question. You get a shot. You make a first movie. It does really well, but everyone hates it.
Yeah.
And somehow you pull it out of the hat. You get a second one.
Right.
And this is what he does with it. But this is the point.
There's a lot of criticism out there of this movie.
Oh, a lot.
A lot of criticism.
In some way, even more than with the Phantom Menace, the original Phantom Menace.
I think Phantom Menace got more criticism for its characters or specific wrongs, such as Jar Jar or whatever, whereas this movie was more criticized as a film.
Yes, I agree with that.
No one really liked it as a piece of cinema.
Yeah.
At all.
But we watched, in preparation for this week, collectively watched a bunch of different documentaries and like featurettes, behind-the-scenes
which
things.
we probably should have watched to begin with, honestly, because it really colored in a lot of the things we've sort of been speculating on for weeks now.
Well, here's a quick side rant.
Go ahead. About the Blu-ray extras?
This fucking Blu-ray is infuriating.
I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I used to have this on DVD, this movie. And then DVD, it was like, play movie, commentaries, extras. And the extras, you got your deleted scenes, you got your featurettes, you got your trailers and your interviews.
So wait, what's the Blu-ray that you guys have?
It's this. It's the complete saga on Blu-ray.
So it's the
so
two
it's
Star
got
Wars
episodes
movies,
1 and 2.
and then it's got like 7.
It's got other discs, so many discs.
You haven't looked into any of those discs.
No, not
There's
at all.
the one disc I looked at that had the special features for Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
That's the only thing relevant right now. But it's like literally 2 movies, 7 discs of special features.
And on the
I
disc,
assume.
it's all these, and there's all these like paintings of like the later, these expanded universe characters.
These fucking like trading card characters that none of us give a shit about.
So on the Blu-ray, the
George created a lot of
features,
fake characters just for merchandise that don't appear in either of the movies.
It's very strange.
Han Solo, all these dumb fucking. Anyway, JD.
Yes.
You had never seen the movie before.
I have never seen this movie before.
You watched it today.
I had seen Phantom Menace once as a child.
I had seen Phantom Menace once. I think I saw Phantom Menace a couple times.
Oh, sure, sure.
Really, it didn't do it for me.
You were bummed out by it.
I was bummed out by it.
I at the time thought it was the best one yet. And by best one yet, I mean, of course, the best movie ever made.
Right. That's what he means.
And I don't know what they were based on, but I felt like I went into it having expectations that this was going to be a great movie.
Right.
And it did not fulfill the expectations that I had set up.
Yeah.
Apropos of nothing.
Uh-huh.
But because of that, I was too saddened to watch this next one.
Mm-hmm.
To the point that I wanted to live instead in a world where I hadn't seen it, because.
So you're saying we have shattered your world?
We shattered.
Well, making you appear on this podcast.
Give you like 15 years to
get over. You had a while.
Yeah. I wanted to live in a world where I hadn't seen it, because that way it could have been good. That I could, I wanted it to be a mystery box that I could always go, I haven't seen it, so it could actually be good.
Right, Schrodinger's cat sort of thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Until observed, I had no idea if it would ignite a nuclear explosion that would destroy me or keep us all safe.
I have a similar thing. I'm like a pop culture completist where, like, even if I dislike something, if I like a part of it, I want to have the full breadth of knowledge.
Yeah.
But RoboCop, which is one of my 5 favorite movies of all time, I have purposely avoided everything else related to RoboCop.
Me too. I've never seen the sequels. I didn't see the remake, even though
I saw the remake, which is stupid on my part.
Some people were like, the remake's not bad.
No,
but I just had no interest.
But RoboCop 1 has such a beautiful ending. Yeah. It's the most perfectly ended film.
There's no reason to make a sequel to this
Right,
movie.
that I just don't want to see the second movie where at the start he's got the helmet back on again, he's talking like RoboCop, and he's lost like his humanity, and he has to go through the same fucking stuff.
But you did watch every episode of the TV show and wrote and directed every single episode and played every part, right?
I didn't watch them. I did write, direct, and play.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I've seen a couple episodes. Of the
but
TV
I don't like
show.
to watch my own work.
No. Why don't you?
Okay, so now your world is shattered, and you now live in a world where this exists.
We're about 7 minutes before we introduce you, by the way. I'm keeping an eye on the clock.
Copy that.
The box is open.
Yeah. So you've seen Attack of the Clones?
I've seen it.
You had 15 years to theorize what a sequel to The Phantom Menace would entail.
And we have been trying to ask, like, is this a good sequel to The Phantom Menace?
That's been one of our core questions. Is it a good movie? That's not even a question. Does
it work as a sequel?
I just watched it.
Yeah.
And I don't understand what happened in it.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Oh, that happens. During the movie, that's a problem.
I don't understand what's happening.
We're in week 8, and we still don't understand what's happening in half the movie.
But not in a way... Well, here's the thing, is that there's films where I don't know what's happening, where it feels like...
You're not supposed to know.
Let me back up to this and say this. That this film is an achievement in several ways. This is an impressive film.
Okay.
Special effects-wise, where they're at, they did some things that were extremely ambitious.
2002. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for... what they had at their fingertips, what they created, is an amazing feat of filmmaking. But to me, and that is not to say this is an objective truth, it didn't satisfy what I wanted from it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I will say is that I didn't quite understand what was going on, not because things were purposely being kept from me in a way that was made me imagine and then get frustrated by it. It was I was so inundated with information about what was going on that I couldn't keep track of it. and it became just this complete sort of like a mess of trade federation understandings and who's this person, why is this happening? And I think it also didn't help because a lot of the technological, a lot of the things that made the film so hard to create technologically also made the film hard for the performers in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a viewer, you rely on the performers to let you know how you should be feeling. And when the performers don't know how they should be feeling, then as an audience, you don't know how you should be feeling. And then you've lost all guideposts for what's going on. So when a piece of information is said and no one really reacts to it, nor do I, and then it doesn't register as important.
Yes. I think that's an incredible point.
You're making a case for it as like an aggressively surreal film, though. You're making a case for it as a film that like abandons any like pretend, like of the established ways of having an audience enjoy a movie.
Audience empathy is like
right.
Yeah, and I don't.
You're very right that yes, like important things are said and characters react with blank faces.
Well, I think
all
what
the
it speaks
time.
to, I think all these actors are trying to
like
make
declarations of love, things like that.
I think all these actors are trying to make deliberate, specific acting choices at every moment. I don't think anyone's asleep at the wheel. I think they're just genuinely so confused about what's going on around them and what they're supposed to be playing that the confusion reads more than their acting choices.
This is the weirdest scene.
Yeah, the
this
movie.
Is the testicle creatures?
I've been sort of cycling around, and it's the testicle creatures exactly.
There's a fucking thing on the Blu-ray where the guy talks about designing the testicle creatures and how he had the design, and then he couldn't figure out the anatomy of how the musculature would work, and he worked on it for months.
Why would he do that?
Because.
Why didn't George Lucas say, you know what, these actually look really weird, let's do something else?
Because he had thousands of people working on the movie, and he went, your job's just to design a testicle.
So, yeah, but we should talk about it. And JD is right. Like, this movie is doing a lot of things that movies hadn't done before.
It was a filmmaking revolution, a lot of ways.
It was, and they're trying to do something that, to this day, would be difficult to achieve if they tried to make a film this ambitious from a CGI standpoint.
Right.
It would be difficult. And they were the inception of this film was probably 20 years ago now, was when they started planning to make this film. In the amount that technology has changed in computer graphics and 3D rendering and stuff like that, has been leaps and bounds over the past 5 years, let alone where it was 20 years ago when they started sort of coming up with the plan for how they're going to do this. So the fact that they achieved some things they achieved is really impressive. But it does not stand the test of time.
No.
And also, I don't think stood the test of time at the moment because they were doing things that they wanted to do things that they did not have the technology to achieve yet. And they did the best they could possibly do under the circumstances, and it was really impressive because these were the best of the best of the best working on it.
Mm-hmm.
But they just did not have the tools they needed to achieve the things that they were trying to do. So I'm gonna dial this back a little bit.
Sure.
I'll say this first is that, as someone who tries to make stuff professionally, I try not to criticize other people's things too much.
Yes.
Just because
Griffin also should do that, but doesn't.
I should.
As someone who wants to work in Hollywood and form connections with people who make movies, he is doing an abominable job of networking.
My agents told me not to do this because I just badmouth people every week, and I'm just not going to get hired ever again.
And so one of the things that I try not to do is I try not to endow characteristics onto directors or creators.
Sure.
When I criticize or look at the things that they create,
you just look at the product.
Well. Look at the product. I think as if you're going to criticize something, you have to look.
How do R2 and C-3PO end up anywhere? It doesn't matter. Carry on.
You have to look at something as basically a primary source, right? Mm-hmm. This was created, and my first instinct is always you have to say this is how the person intended to make it. That should be your first instinct.
I agree.
This is how they intended to make it.
Does that seem weird to you? Well, don't try to guess at why. That's what they intended.
Exactly. That's what they intended. Don't one of my least favorite things in criticism is when someone goes, this director is an idiot. They didn't even think of how to do da-da-da-da-da. Because it's instead of looking at the film as a primary source, it's crafting your own narrative for what the director's doing, which then gets you down the road of you're just self-justifying for whatever things you see in that.
Which, mind you, there are tons of terrible movies made by very intelligent people with the best intentions, and there are a bunch of incredible movies that were mistakes where people ended up doing things wrong, and the final product
they figured it out.
Brilliant in a way that it can only work when divorced from what their intentions
exactly
were.
And so then I think the second part of things, if I look at something and it feels really off or I really don't like it, and I have trouble believing that this was the intention of the creator, then the next step is I look at the process.
Yes.
And try to see what happened in the process and the actual story of making this that could have led to this version of things. So in looking at this film, I think there's a lot to speak of. Because also, let's keep in mind, George Lucas. What are the things that you guys know George Lucas from?
He made American Graffiti. He made THX 1138.
He took a long break. He might have made one or two other movies in the 70s.
He produced Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay, great.
He produced Legend. And
great.
Is it Legend or Willow? I always
Willow.
forget which
Willow.
Legend is Ridley Scott.
Legend is Ridley
Raiders of the
Scott,
Lost
and it's
Ark.
amazing, and I could do a whole podcast about Legend.
Oh, that's
It's
interesting.
one of your
Because
favorite movies,
I sometimes see people go crazy for Willow. I
love Willow.
Go crazy for Legend. I was just reading about Tom Cruise and like how that was his like escape from Top Gun and from fame. Because that movie took a long time to make.
And he was like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and he just like secluded himself. In
That was
England,
before Top Gun, though.
Well, I think it was. No, wait, was it? All right, I'm looking it up.
I believe
Maybe it was after Risky Business.
I think it was right after Risky Business.
Yes,
not
Legend. He was, I think, 21 years old.
It's crazy.
This was right after Risky Business.
Mia Sarah was 16.
Went to my
Tim
high school.
Curry is incredible. In Legend.
Love Legend, and the original film they set to make out in Legend is an incredible film, and what the studio did to it made it into a not a good film. We can get into all that stuff. The soundtrack, oh my god!
You can also listen to 12 Hour Day. There's a lot of you explaining.
Yes,
You got to come back and do Legend sometime.
Oh my gosh.
We're gonna do these. That's the kind of movies we're interested in, where like a lot of creative capital is being put on the line.
Yeah, when
those
someone
sorts of
has
movies.
sort of like free reign to make something.
I mean, that's because that's what these movies are.
And
These are self-financed.
We should do a podcast called "We Are Legend," where we talk about Legend.
That's a really good title.
But then, can we also talk about I Am Legend? Because I think that movie's brilliant too.
Yeah, I think that's
Except
an
it has
interesting.
a horrible ending.
Wait, what?
The Francis Lawrence movie, I Am Legend.
Have you ever seen I Am
What
Legend?
movie?
I Am Legend.
What is that?
You don't know that one?
What is?
I Am Legend.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
With Will Smith?
Will Smith?
I
Yeah.
can't tell if he's
you're
doing
doing
a
a
bit.
bit
I
right
can't
now.
tell
I
because
can't tell.
JD's kind of sort
See,
of like
we don't do bits
tough
on this
guy to
show.
read.
That's the thing. We don't do bits on it.
Yeah,
This
no,
is
there's
just
this show
serious
is straight raw
film
from the
criticism.
heart.
No, I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. I was doing a bit where I acted like I didn't know a movie existed.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
see, no, we wouldn't do that. That
Yeah, I
doesn't
wouldn't-
make any
I wouldn't
sense
get
to
that.
us.
Yeah, sorry.
We try to work with our full
Good movie,
intelligence,
though.
our full
Yeah.
reference base.
Remember
Yeah.
the Shrek monologue in I Am Legend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he just recites the scene from Shrek.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, okay, JD, that's funny, but please don't do that anymore on our show.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
weird,
We
weird
don't
to do those
appreciate
kinds of
that
bits.
Yeah, sorry. I won't do a bit. I won't do a bit where I act like. a
And
movie
you know what
doesn't
I really
exist.
hate is those kind of like meta bits where you're like doing a bit about another bit. Ugh, that
That's
drives me crazy.
insufferable.
That's like that's why
Insufferable.
people hate modern comedy.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And like bits about bits about bits. It's just like
Jesus
the
Christ.
fucking levels.
And the
to
worst
it are,
thing
like-
is when white guys have some fucking podcast where they just like
I
talk
know.
about movies all
I know.
day.
You know what else? I hate it when like white 15-year-olds think they can fix the racism of the world in a history paper.
Yeah.
That's like my least favorite thing in the world.
Those people should actively be put to
Those
death.
people should be put
Like
to
the
death.
government should like send out agents hunting for them.
Well, they should have been put to death at 15, but if they're still alive right now, maybe let them go.
No, I think yeah, you can't forgive.
Maybe they're
Or
going to see
forget.
their other ways.
Fun fact: whenever Griffin goes to the bathroom, he just mutters to himself that he solved racism.
I don't believe what I'm hearing.
But we have a special guest. Continuing our streak, I realized something. Every guest we've had on this season is someone who
played trivia with us.
played trivia with us.
True. Is that true? Because we have Morgan, we have Rachel. I'm forgetting someone.
JD.
JD. Yeah.
Yeah. And now Chase Mitchell.
Chase Mitchell.
Great
Hello.
Chase Mitchell, who's a writer for The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon.
That's right.
Yeah, he's a
television
much
program.
more qualified person than either of us. He's got a gig. He's in
That
our
everyone
shitty little
knows.
booth.
There's no need to qualify what he does.
I sit in this booth all day, David.
But yeah, of course, Ben. But
Yeah.
you're at least salaried.
Yeah.
Anyway, hi, Chase.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me in this tiny room.
Oh, thanks for being here, Chase. Now, we have a lot to talk about with you. You're essentially closing this out. This is our last formal discussion about this movie.
So what's left? What are the scraps that are left for us to talk about today?
Fucking expanded universe, bro.
Oh, man.
Because we've torn this movie apart. We've ripped it in half. We've checked under the couch cushions.
Mhm.
I never want to speak of this movie again.
I hate it so
I
much.
know. I was so pumped for this movie when we started it because I was so sick of Phantom Menace.
The
That
first
I really
4
soured
weeks,
on this one.
The first 4 weeks of this podcast, I was defending this movie.
You were. You
Yeah.
used to be way more
Wow,
positive
that's
about
a
it.
valiant defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
What were you
really
saying?
tried. I don't even know what
I
you
think
were
the-
saying.
I for a long
He
time
likes the first 20 minutes. Sorry.
I don't even at this point.
Right.
At this point, I don't want to look at the first 20 minutes ever again. I don't want to smell the first 20 minutes.
Have you guys been watching it every week before you talk about it?
Most weeks,
yeah. And sometimes we just watch the parts that are relevant to what we're talking about. So we did like a romance episode. We did like a romance cut where you just watched.
That was one of the great love stories of our time, I think.
Yeah, that was what we were positing. You know?
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounded like you correct yourself. I was going to say it's one of the greatest love stories of our taint. In addition to being one of the love stories of our time, it's one of the great love stories of our communal taint.
Yeah, it's really something. I don't know. It's rare to see such a compelling romance based entirely on sand feeling rough and
skin feeling smooth.
Yeah,
yeah,
rolling around in a meadow.
Yep.
And other things that happened.
Not that you basically covered their whole romance. That's 90% of it.
Not kissing. There's a lot of not kissing.
A confessed slaughter of many women and children. That's what really seals the deal.
Was not a deal breaker.
No,
for
it's
her.
a deal maker.
Yeah,
it was kind of a turn on.
Yeah. She goes right for him after that.
Yeah. Up until that point, she was like, "We can't. We have to show discretion." And then 2 scenes later, she's like, "I don't fucking care. I love you."
Yeah, she's like, "I'll take you in this robot moisture bath room that we're in right now."
Yeah, riding a reek.
What is that?
The reek is the red horned.
Okay, the really uncompelling CGI creature that they.
Oh, in the final battle scene,
yes,
right,
yes.
right, with the yeah. You don't find the CGI compelling in these films?
Oh man, it just not one frame of it stands up. Yeah, it looks worse than the fully CG Clone War series that they did later on.
I don't know about that one. Or have you heard of that one?
No, I don't know. What do you? There's a.
That's that. I thought we were talking about expanded universe.
That's true. We are talking about the expanded.
Yeah, we're talking about expanded universe. We're talking about fan fiction.
We're
talking about deleted scenes.
The parameters of this podcast are very blurry. I never actually saw what you're talking about. Like literally, I never actually saw it. Is it good?
No, I mean, it was like to say like, oh, who wants to dive back in for 11 more hours of
Clones?
What we just saw was bad.
Well, that's what people have been doing every week on this podcast.
Yeah,
11 more hours.
I just described what you guys have been.
Who wants to dive back in?
Our lives. You're describing our futile lives.
I'm so glad that with next week's episode, it's finally over. The long nightmare.
And then we have to.
More.
We'll find a new movie and a new franchise, a one-off. Because here's the thing, Chase, as you know, I'm sure right now you're racking your brain thinking of other movies you've seen and going, was that part of the Phantom Menace franchise? Like wondering if other things were sequels.
Yeah.
Nope. As far as we know, there were 2. There were 2 movies, okay? Right. No, but my point here is, I didn't know that there was a Clone Wars animated series. That makes sense to me because obviously the 3rd movie would have been the Clone Wars.
Yeah, sure.
All logical storytelling.
Yeah, we've done that.
It does feel that way.
Yeah, it should be the Clone Wars. Yeah.
So if he didn't get to make the movie, I guess.
Yeah, maybe he does a little TV show.
So many ideas. He does them as a TV show, follows it up. We'll have to look into that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, Jar Jar, he hasn't proposed it. He just functions as the absentee vote, right?
I guess so. I thought he was the actual proponent of the bill. Like it's called the Binks bill. The Binks crime bill.
But he doesn't make a speech. That's what's disappointing is that Palpatine just goes Jar Jar, of course, really into this bill. And Jar Jar just kind of like nods behind Palpatine.
Right.
Like you want to see Jar Jar have his like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What would that sound like?
What is that? I think Jar Jar kind of like slowly scoots up in his like flying Senate pod.
Yeah.
And he loosens the tie. And he goes, Misa not a fancy Gungan. Misa lives underwater my whole life. All Misa know is it's a scary world out there. Much a doo-doo. No one can step in. If you don't have a friend, you're in real big doo-doo. What better friend is there than a clone? And what good is one clone without an army behind him? And the music swells. And he goes, I know what you're thinking.
I checked like my work email while that was happening. Although the first line was really funny.
It almost kind of sounded like a rap. Like you should do a Jar Jar rap.
He definitely should not do that.
Yeah, I of all people.
Yeah, you're already in too much hot water.
Hot water.
No, come on.
Ben's indicating that I look over at his screen. I'm gonna move my head slowly over to the screen to see what he's talking about.
You guys were talking about the Phantom Menace, right? Earlier on in the episode, and it brought back some memories of that movie. Remember the guy with the double lightsaber? Yeah. What happened to that guy?
We thought he was going to come back as a clone in this movie. He did.
Really did.
So I was searching on the internet, dude. There's a third movie.
What?
A third?
Yeah,
what?
Look, I'm looking at it right now.
What?
Revenge of the Sith. Came out in 2005.
How much do you think people can put up with us at this point that we're doing this again?
Episode 3 Revenge?
Wait. There's a third movie?
It's Revenge of the Sith?
What?
How can people take
That's
a serious
typo.
Oh, you think it's just 2?
I mean, it's Wikipedia.
I'm not wearing my glasses. I can't see how many Roman numerals there are. I don't know.
I'm seeing 3 eyes.
There's 3 eyes.
Chase, have you heard of this movie, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith?
No, and I refuse to acknowledge its existence.
That's a wise move.
For you, this film is Expanded Universe, Episode 3.
Click over there. Click on that one. Yeah, click. No, that's the one on the Wikipedia. Oh, sure, the IMDb.
Who directed it?
2005.
It's George Lucas.
Georgie Porgy?
Written and directed by George Lucas.
He fucking did it?
Starring Hayden Christensen, Natalie Portman, and Ewan McGregor.
It's the same actors, too, again.
Those guys.
He fucking pulled it off. He did a full trilogy.
Wow.
He fully realized the ambition of this story.
That's so crazy.
3 movies, what everyone aims to do. 3 movies to cover one story.
There's more Jimmy Smits.
Wow.
There's more Samuel L. Jackson.
Smits is 5th bill.
No, he's 6th bill.
I can't believe it. The Star Wars trilogy.
This is incredible.
Crazy bastard did it 10 years ago.
I thought we were going to have to move on to Paulacast, our podcast about Paula Robin Thicke's follow-up album to Blurred Lines.
We are going to do that.
And
Don't worry
Paula
about
Poundstone.
it. And Paula Poundstone.
Yeah. We might have to do Revenge of the Podcast.
Oh, we're going to...
Wow.
God,
We're got to do Revenge of the Podcast. How do you think this one's going to be?
Oh, I just am sure this is where he figured it all out and he ties everything together.
He's going to pull it all together.
The clones are going to make sense now. And
yeah, now they're going to attack, finally.
Yeah. After.
On the poster, there's a guy with a black helmet.
Must be a new character.
That's yeah, I've never seen that before. Okay, well, as always, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. To close this out, here is a supercut of our favorite moments with Dexter Jettster.
Okay, so we get to this diner.
Dexter Jettster.
It resembles a sort of 50s Americana iconography that we know. Then the next thing we see is the waitress. Honey, sit where you'd like. Like, she says honey, which is a kind of colloquialism that we haven't heard.
That's true. That's true. Everyone talks so formally in these films,
right.
but it's so jarring.
Yeah. Okay. So she's got the accent.
We're going to spend 40 minutes on this fucking diner scene before we get to the fucking clones.
This might just be a diner episode.
Diner.
It's a space movie, and we're in a 50s diner.
Okay,
she's a short order cook. What is going on?
Dexter Jettster perhaps created a 50s culture.
Yeah, right. He established it.
That in fact what we identify as being the 50s culture was a throwback to what Dexter had done a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. And she goes, Dex, sweetie, someone here to see you. He turns around. We see him. He's got the greasy shirt, big belly, mustache, wide smile. We're like, okay, here we go. And then his voice comes out, and I've now watched the movie maybe 5 times. I cannot place his accent.
Who is the actor?
I looked him up. He's like an Australian character actor. He hasn't done a lot. The voice is great. I mean, he's got an amazing, robust.
Great. It's okay.
I'm not saying once again, save it for the performance review. But I'm just saying that he does have this booming, powerful voice. There's a lot of personality there.
Ronald Falk. That's his name.
Oh, boy, Ronald Falk. I'd fuck you so hard. He's like, oh, this dart, it comes from a Camonian.
Camino.
Okay.
Camino.
Well, splitting hairs. Splitting mustache hairs. The whole planet does one thing. All it does is clone.
And he describes it as being like way off the map.
Way off
beyond the outer rim.
Yeah.
And like, really, really, really secretive.
Oh, this is a big detail. He says he knows about it because he found it in his prospecting days.
Yeah, right.
He was a prospector.
Okay. Oh, Dexter Jettster. He should get a spin-off or a TV show
I was
or a
gonna say.
talk show.
Well, I mean, he'd do a great talk show. But I was going to say, why not do a fucking Dexter Jettster sitcom in the traditional, like, Alice? God, let's just talk about Dexter Jettster again for a whole episode.
No more mention of Dexter Jettster ever again.
Okay.
That's not true. We're definitely going to talk about it
again.
You kind of have a Dexter Jettster mustache right now.
I
Because your mustache is quite thick.
Yeah, and
sort of distractingly prominent as a result because it's thicker than the rest of your face hair.
Well, and Dexter Jettster has that too, where he's got stubble on the rest, but the mustache is grown up. Yeah.
He's got a caterpillar on his fucking lips.
Yeah.
Oh man, Dexter Jettster. Oh, we talked a lot about the 50s diner.
I heard it.
You
Yeah,
listened
I
to
was
that
listening
episode.
to that one.
Yeah.
We're gonna do 2 more episodes just on the diner.
I swear to God. Ron Falk is Dexter Jettster.
Oh yeah, I mean, yes, David, Ben,
yeah.
yeah.
I know.
This is a great performance.
All right.
We talked about him for 45 minutes. We couldn't even figure out his voice. I mean, he's the one guy who seems to be doing a like post-melting pot galaxy in which every culture is mashed together. He seems to have all. It's the best. This is the best.
Okay.
This is the best. But this is my point. And then someone like Dexter Jettster, you know I love him. I think looks like a PlayStation 1 cutscene.
He does. Dexter Jettster
looks
does not
really
blend
good.
in with
Dexter Jettster?
The diner owner.
Yeah.
I like the design of him a lot, but the animation itself is just
Ben
like
that. Ben like
it looks like a fucking PlayStation 1 game.
Now, I don't know if you remember, Chase, but Dexter is the owner of the diner.
Oh, how could I forget?
Of course.
Yeah.
Griffin's favorite character in the deck.
Dex is a great pal of mine, and we get along splendidly when I visit his restaurant. Of course, it's usually when the man I love, Quinlan Voss, has to go to Dex for information on his ridiculous quest to find this mysterious guy called a Sith Lord. But it's great to see Dex and his diner nevertheless. Perhaps what I like even more about Dex's diner, though, this is chapter 3 of it. I skipped the first 2 because the first 2 aren't good.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
So to sum up, Dex has got great food and drink too, and
You
sometimes
didn't talk about the food.
likes to
Isn't it a
snitch.
Yelp review?
It has a beautiful decor, colored in the
Griffin,
same color. What?
This is boring as shit.
Fine. You want me to pump it up?
Yeah.
Do you want me to pump it up?
Yes. I'm so glad there's no Dex like sex fiction though.
I thought that's what we were building.
Me too. I thought we were building
No,
that.
fine. I'll read a different story.
Because he does have 4 arms to, like jerk
Yeah.
people off with. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go to a different story.
He's got a lot of stories.
It works very late nights. The diner's open 24 hours.
I got different. You guys think this is boring? I was trying to fucking go highbrow.
Oh.